with me for a second. I gotta get my YouTube horizontal going. So uh, we'll be we'll be continuing momentarily. So give me about a minute. I do appreciate you folks that are already tuned in. So I will need about a minute just to get the other stream going. Busy news day today, by the way. Very busy news day. Apparently, another immigrant in New York murdered somebody, a Guatemalan. So we'll be talking about that as well. But the topic of the show is actually going to be something that came forward before the immigrant did that. That's a whole nother show in itself. But damn, is that not going to make Trump look good? It's going to be helpful to Trump because he's been saying that these folks are coming here raping and murdering folks, and now we got an immigrant that literally set a lady on fire. Damn, I tell you, boy, Trump is the man. I tell you because the more shit he say, the more it come out looking right. So we're gonna certainly talk about that. But let me see if I can get my YouTube horizontal going. I can't believe the man would actually set somebody on fire. I tell you, boy, shit. Let's see if this works. Okay, and if it does, we should. Okay, so we do have that going now. So YouTube horizontal is running, and we will go ahead and start the YouTube, better yet, the TikTok show. Start in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Getting my equipment running here. Busy news day. Busy news day today. So we certainly got a couple things I want to run by you folks. I don't know what's going on with TikTok. That's really weird. Busy news day, but I do want to talk about before we get into the actual topics of the show. I was mentioning this to my YouTube vertical audience while I was queuing up the other devices. I'm sure some of you folks have already heard about this. That an immigrant in New York set a lady on fire on the subway. Originally, I did a video on this. I thought he was from Nicaragua, but apparently he's from Guatemala. Guatemala, south of the border. Nevertheless, Hispanic. He is an Hispanic gentleman. They did the perp walk, so he's been on television already. You've seen who he is, a la Luigi Maggione style, where they walk him down. They walk him out in front of everybody. But anyhow, he not only set. This was a woman that was apparently sleeping on the subway. Not only did he set her ablaze, he stood there and watched her burn. Now, this guy is from Guatemala, and apparently he is not a documented immigrant. He's in the country illegally. So now, this isn't even the topic of the show. So I do got two other topics, but I do want to run by this because this is current news. Just happened, just came out today. But apparently now the right is salivating over this. The right is certainly salivating over this. Because it falls in line with Trump's. They're coming here raping and murdering people and things like that. And they're blaming it on Biden's open border policy. Well, if I'm correct, I haven't heard I'm not 100% up on this story, but I know a little bit about it. I do know that he originally came in the country illegally, I think 2017, 2018, and was deported. So he did enter illegally under the Trump administration, and he was deported. Now, the suggestion is he snuck back in the country during Biden's term. I don't know if that actually has been proven, but obviously it would it would help Trump out tremendously if they can show that he came in under Trump, got deported under Trump, and then came in under Biden and did not get deported under Biden and was allowed to stay and then went on to murder people. That would obviously make Trump's camp look really good. I'm not 100% sure that's true though. But I'm watching Fox News, I'm watching the Five today, and they are trying to suggest Kellyanne Conway was on there. One of Trump's. I think she was the one that orchestrated Trump's first victory back in 2016. She was trying to hint around and suggest that this guy came back in under Biden's term. I'm not 100% sure that's true. Not 100% sure it's false either, but we know he came in under Trump, got deported, and somehow, some way, he got back in the country again. That will likely come out because that's going to be important. That's going to be important, certainly, like I said, because the Trump camp is going to try to use all of that to somehow suggest that, see, I'm better at this than Biden. So we'll talk about that, and that'll end up being a side topic. But the actual topic of the show, you see what I have on the screen behind me. Now, President Trump promised to get us out of overseas conflicts. The Russian-Ukrainian war would never have ended if he was president. He said that. He's also indicated that Hamas would never have attacked the Israelis if he was president. These are big, bold statements, but he's saying that would never have happened if he's president, suggesting that he could end the Russian-Ukrainian war within 24 hours, even before entering the Oval Office. Yours truly, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a promise he made that he's not going to keep. He has said he's going to end that war. He stated that if he was elected, he would end that Russia-Ukrainian war within 24 hours before entering the Oval Office. So before he's even officially president, he made that promise. That's not going to happen, but he did make that promise. Now, I'm bringing up these prior promises because yesterday, Sunday, 22nd of December, he is stating that Panama is charging Americans, American shipping is being charged too much to pass through the Panama Canal. And he is stating that if they do not charge us a fair rate, whatever the hell that might be, I guess that's in his opinion to decide that he's going to demand they hand the Panama Canal back to America. Now, that's most likely the biggest business in Panama. If America snatches the Panama Canal from Panama, I don't know what kind of poverty they're living in now, but that would probably destroy that country. Just completely destroy that country. If we took over the Panama Canal and all of a sudden now we're making that money in it. Now we used to own the Panama Canal. America's responsible for building that back in the early 1900s. But under the Jimmy Carter administration back in 1977, President Carter signed it back to them. And Trump is now stating that if they don't charge us a proper rate for our ships to pass through it, America's going to demand the Panama Canal. Now, the president, or the whatever you want to call it, the leadership, the administration in Panama has already stated that every centimeter of that canal belongs to them, and they're not going to have their nation or their sovereignty threatened by the United States. So you already know what that's starting to sound like. That's starting to sound like military conflict. Obviously, Panama would not be much of a challenge for the U.S., but it is sounding like Trump is talking about some sort of military conquest in Panama. Remember, he's the guy who's going to end global affairs. Now, in addition to that, because that's bad, if you think that's bad enough, he's also talking about Greenland. He has stated, I don't know if I got the quote written around here. This is interesting. Here's a quote from Trump. For purposes of national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. Now, he's saying for what the hell? He's saying, I guess, for our national security here in America and our freedom, that we should own Greenland. How the hell does that work? What was it called? It was kind of like an eminent domain phrase that we used to use on the Native American, saying that God entitled us to have this land. Somebody let me know what the phrase was actually called. It wasn't called eminent domain, obviously, but they were using a phrase like that to suggest that God meant for us to have this land and take it from the Native Americans. Manifest destiny. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's what it was called. Manifest destiny. Who said that? Razmak. Thank you. Yeah, this is what that sounds like. For him to suggest that for the purposes of the national security and freedom, we should have Greenland. Where the hell does that come from? What would make him say something like that? So we're gonna obviously talk about that. Obviously going to talk about that because that seems anything less than insane in my opinion. That sounds like some. Look, I'm not here to call Trump mustache man, but that sure sounds like something straight out of that playbook where you're just coming up with reasons to take people's countries. Now, Greenland is owned by Denmark currently. Denmark has control of Greenland. So for Trump's wishes to be met, not only does he have to probably go against the wishes of the people of Greenland, he's also got to go against the wishes of Denmark. I don't think Denmark is just interested in handing over a territory. So, I mean, and by the way, we're talking NATO member nations. So I don't know, but keep in mind, Trump talked about purchasing Greenland during his first term. So Trump has had a hard on for Greenland. I don't know why. In terms of where it is located on the globe, it would give us, if we have, I mean, don't we already have bases in Greenland? Don't we already have a presence, military presence in Greenland of some sort? I've had callers come on the show from Greenland and we've talked about it. I believe, one of my callers, I think he said the U.S. has something in Greenland already. It would give us quicker access to places like Russia. You can go over the polar ice caps and get into China or whatever the hell make quicker. I get it where it's located. But how the hell does acquiring Greenland guarantee freedom to the people of Greenland? I don't see how this works. Anyhow, those are the topics we're going to talk about. Last but not least, the secondary topic is Biden. We don't talk about Biden very much. He's pretty much taking a back seat, and we see Biden is on his way out. But Biden made some fairly big news today. He essentially pardoned everyone on death row. I guess pardon, commute, let's say commute, because he didn't let anybody out, but he commuted the sentence for literally everyone on death row in federal prison, except for 3 people. Dylan Roof, the guy that went into an African-American church in South Carolina and took out 9 black people. He didn't pardon him. He didn't pardon the remaining Boston bomber. The other one was ran over by the other one when he was running from the police. One bomber ran over the other one. So only one of them is alive. That guy sits on death row. He didn't pardon him. And there was another guy who took out a Jewish synagogue. So 1 terrorist and 2 folks who took out a lot of lives out of pure hatred. He didn't pardon those 3 people. Everyone else on death row federally has been commuted to a life sentence. Biden stated that he cannot allow that to continue. And I guess he doesn't believe that America should execute its own citizens. So we're going to certainly talk about that from the standpoint of, do you believe that America should abolish the idea of executing its own citizens? How would you feel? Do you believe that America should get rid of the death penalty? Now, obviously, it's done mostly at state level, but in this case, there are people that are federal. Luigi Mangione, the guy who took out the United Healthcare CEO. The feds are charging him. He possibly could end up receiving a capital sentence. Luigi Mangione. Now, that would probably be unpopular because there's a hell of a lot of people that like Luigi Mangione. From what I've heard already, there's over $100,000 in donations that has went to that dude. Legal fees, they putting money on his books in jail. There's over $100,000 that has went to Luigi Mangione. So a lot of folks believe he did God's work. But we'll talk about those two. So looking in the comments, Tim will defend him saying, okay, this is coming from Ed G, saying that I will defend him saying wait a minute. Tim will defend him, saying he was just trying to give her a free Guatemalan-style suntan, and the GOP is demonizing him for the accident when he was trying to work. All right, Ed, you got me. But no, I can't defend that. I mean, he set a woman on fire on the subway in New York and then stood there and watched her burn. I can't defend that shit. I will continue to push back and state that I do believe Trump makes a mountain out of a molehill in terms of immigrants losing their lives. I do believe that Trump has made it sound like virtually every immigrant in this country that is undocumented is here to kill, murder, and rape people. I vehemently think that's false. I think some of that could be based out of hatred, but the fact is, one is too many, as many would say, and he is finding them. This guy in New York, this happened. I mean, there's a video of some Venezuelans beating up a cop several months ago, obviously Lincoln Riley. When you're going around saying something like what Trump is saying over and over again, just one case gets blown out of proportion. I mean, so the more of these cases that come forward, the more it looks like Trump was right, even though I think he is took it to incredible levels of exaggeration. But the people believe otherwise, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Going to the box, though, asking that question, what is Trump up to? Is he literally on a mission of conquest, talking about taking over Greenland, taking over the Panama Canal? Mike, good evening.
Wait a minute, man. Those are the questions you got tonight. You ain't talked about Matt Gaetz at all?
That's only reason why I'm not bringing. Okay, and Matt Gaetz is another one I could ask about. Has Trump?
See, wait a minute, man. You don't bring up the Matt Gaetz ethic report for your MAGA audience so they can understand what's going on with Matt Gaetz and customer appreciation? Are you kidding me?
What customer appreciation?
Oh, you didn't read it. You didn't read it, did you?
I know he slept with a 17-year-old. I know he's been, what did he say? He spent over $100,000 buying sex, taking ecstasy. I mean, he done a lot. I mean, I don't know.
Did you read the part where he was tight on his money and he asked, which amounts to the madam, for a discount on their, treated as a customer appreciation day?
So he asked for a discounted pussy.
He asked for a punch card for pussy. That's what he asked for. A BOGO. That's what he asked for. That's what he asked for. This was the guy that they put up for Attorney General. Yeah. Tim, they all saw this report before it was released, and yet they still wanted to try to confirm him.
Why do you think that is, though?
Because, first of all, listen, birds of a feather, call it what it is. Here's the thing. He had SA allegations. Pete got SA allegations. Trump has been convicted of adjudicated grape. Listen, they can try to excuse it all they want. And then they tried to cover this up. And then Marjorie Greene had the audacity to say, if they release it, she'll snitch out everybody. These people are a cluster, Tim, and you want to talk about Greenland and some other shit like that? Listen, man, they need to understand that ethics report says everything that we thought about him and all of them. And
I don't know. Hold on. I think what's come out on Matt Gaetz actually is worse than what we thought about him. I don't think we thought he was that fucking bad. That he was, as you're talking about, asking for pussy coupons, and I mean, they spent over $100,000 buying ass. I don't think we expected it to be that bad.
I don't know why, because his partner, what's his name? The one that got convicted and got sentenced to 11 years. What's his name?
Wait, say that again.
His boy that he was running with, his guy that he was running with that got sentenced to 11 years for the same things.
Who are you talking about?
What's his last name? I gotta look it up. I was just reading it earlier.
Yeah, and I see in the comments, Titus also points out, the girl was 17, she was underage. Now, she did, I hate to even give Matt Gaetz even a little credit, but the woman did admit she never told him she was 17 and he never asked. That doesn't excuse the fact that it's still statutory rape, but...
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Joel Greenberg, thank you, 2 Danes and a Doodle. Joel Greenberg was his boy He got sentenced to 11 years for
Yeah.
He got sentenced for that. He testified. You don't remember watching that hearing?
I remember some of that. Yeah, I think I remember us even talking about it on here.
Okay, so let me refresh people's memory about this stuff. He admitted to all of the stuff, all of the things he admitted to, and he said that Matt was right there next to him. He admitted all of that stuff.
How nerdy do you have to be? You're a congressman making six figures. You are a Washington congressman. You're on TV for. How hard would it be to get some pussy? I don't get that. You got to pay for that. That doesn't from a 17-year-old.
I was never a congressman back in my day, and I never spent a nickel.
Right. So, you know how much ass I could get if I had real Washington logos on my shit.
Hello. So again, so what do we actually? So again, however, here's the arrogance. Writing checks. They got him writing checks to pay for it. Right. And here's the thing. So why would you? But here's the question though. Why would you first watch Nobody's Lying? And this is the thing. They don't like to listen to anything. Why would you protect that behavior? See, this is a pattern. This is a pattern with MAGA. They always have an excuse. Even First Watch, stop lying. All these things, right? It's like, look, the behavior is the behavior.
He's not even, well, in regards to stop lying, Matt Gaetz is not even totally denying everything that's coming out. Even he said, look, I used to drink and smoke and party a lot. He's kind of admitted some of it. He don't want to admit he had sex with somebody underage because that's criminal. But he is cued in enough about it that it's pretty clear a lot of it's true because he didn't even give a flat out denial of it.
You damn right. But here, let's take it a little deeper. This is for MAGA. Let's take it deeper. Why are you so comfortable to show pictures on the House floor, on the Senate floor? Why are you so comfortable sharing pictures with your colleagues if you don't believe that at some level they're okay with what you're doing?
Yeah. What I don't get, and I do agree with that, because when Trump appointed him, he's been telling you this is a bad dude because of the X and all of that in the pictures and stuff you're talking about. But what I don't get, you heard of the phrase, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones or what. Considering how much of a ruckus he caused in Congress with helping get rid of McCarthy, you kind of want to, like, you sure you want to do this with all of this shit people know about you? I'm really surprised that he caused as much of a ruckus that he did, considering all of the secrets he was maintaining on himself that were less than secrets. People know what you own. Why would you want to do this and make so many enemies? That didn't make any sense.
Here's the part for MAGA to listen to very carefully after everything you just said. They know their constituents. They know they won't believe they won't believe their lying eyes. They won't believe their lying ears, because all they have to do is deflect. These same people were going after Fonnie Willis and have disparaged her for a relationship she had.
Yeah.
Right? Which I will admit, it's on the margins of being ethical.
Oh shit, they even went after Kamala Harris for Willie Brown.
Right. Listen, thank you. All of these things. You're talking about Kamala and Willie Brown, all these other things, and you've seen that report?
Yeah.
You've been in rooms. Listen, here's the thing. It talks about his sugar booger and all of that.
I'd be curious to see. I would be curious. Well, it's the holiday weekend, so I gotta assume the Sunday shows won't be what they normally are. Meet the Press and George Stephanopoulos this weekend. But I would like to hear how some of the Republican congressmen, because they're gonna question them exactly what you're saying is. You saw this report. Why didn't you speak out about his appointment of Matt Gaetz? I'd be curious because a lot of them were lockstep in behind Trump's appointment of Matt Gaetz. I think even Elon Musk was making threats.
You're damn right.
Yeah, so
you're damn right. But they've seen this stuff. See, this is the problem that I have. This is the foundation of my position. Is when I talk about ethics, character, morals, and integrity. When I say that, it's because once that doesn't matter, all things are on the table.
Yeah.
Everything. And when these reports are coming out, it's verifying all things are on the table. Even say he said he didn't know, but if you read the report and you listen to his own words, his behavior was deplorable.
Yeah.
And that's what we
even without even without the statutory rape, his behavior was terrible.
Take that off the table.
It was still terrible.
And then when does it stop? Because here's the thing. So fast forward to Don Jr. looking like.
Did I lose you there, Mike?
On his gums about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you talking? Yeah, you're talking about when Don Jr. was rubbing his finger on his gums like he was finishing off the last of a cocaine hit.
You saw that, right?
I did see that. Yes.
You saw that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you start putting the dots together, this is the part that drives me crazy about his supporters. They ignore the things that I don't believe they would ignore in their personal life.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to let me put on my MAGA hat and push back. There was cocaine actually found in the White House under the Biden administration, and the liberals ignored that.
You see how they no, they didn't ignore that.
What did they do? What came out of it?
No. But I'm saying they talked about it. They wanted to investigate where it came from.
And what was the conclusion? The liberals, for the most part, wrapped that up in 2 seconds. The liberals were not demanding evidence of where that cocaine found in the White House came from. They did kind of ignore that.
No, I understand what you're saying, and it sounds like it could have been left over from Don. But my point is, hey, you know when you got a stash, sometimes people don't find your stash for a long time. That's why they call it a stash.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. But my point is, Tim, even in that example, we try to give this false equivalency between the two, right? Because the behavior is consistent, man. The behavior with Trump and the people in his orbit around him is consistent.
They like to party.
It's consistently, but I know you want to say, and you know what's so funny? And you better be careful, because in the ethics report, they refer to everything as a party. Do you like to party? Why would you have to ask a woman if she was when she was old enough to drink, Tim? Why would you have to ask that? Why would you have to ask that question?
Because somebody's giving her alcohol.
If that wasn't your target audience, you wouldn't have to ask that damn question. Yeah. Let's just keep it 100. If you're, and how old is Gaetz right now?
I said, I don't know how old Matt Gaetz is. He's way too old for this shit, though.
He was 36, 37, 35 back then. So you got to ask if you're old enough to drink.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It happens.
We got to stop. We got to call a thing, Tim. And you got to stop dancing. I told you, man. I told you about this manganese and manganism. I'm telling you, that report. And here's the one question you ask every senator and congressperson. You ask them, you've read it. Why was that okay? Yeah. Why were you set to support that?
My guess is you're going to get tap dancing, because I don't foresee, and I tend to be able to play, both sides, and I can see both sides of an issue. I don't know how you explain that away. If you read that report and you have I guess you could say you didn't believe Congress, or you thought Congress members that were part of the report were part of the deep state, like they did with Liz Cheney and Kissinger and Nancy Pelosi on the J6 hearings. But if you don't have something to come back like that, and you read that report and you were going to appoint him anyway, it makes you look terrible.
No. Well, and that's fair. You can say it makes them look terrible. I will take it a step further and say they are terrible, because not only do they ignore it, they lie about it. And First Watch can say no charges, but if your moral compass is whether you're charged or not for what you're doing, First Watch, and I will say this: if you have children and somebody SA'd your kid but they didn't get charged, are you saying it's okay? Yeah. And if you're saying it's okay, you're one of them fuck people that I don't want to have nothing to do with. That's like
saying with O.J. Simpson, no conviction. I mean, he wasn't convicted of killing Nicole Brown Simpson. Right. It didn't work then. Why should it work now?
We just listen. If when people talk about unity, if they're talking about unity, we got to get back and hold the same accountability at the same level. The bar has to be the bar. It doesn't matter if it's red or blue. It doesn't matter any of that. The bar has to be the bar. And until we get to that point, we'll never agree on anything because
let me ask you to this way though, because obviously did an investigation on Matt Gaetz or whatever. We know Trump is not really known for properly vetting his appointees. Do you think Trump actually knew what was in the report? Maybe he didn't read it.
100%. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. You listen. The behavior around him is consistent, Tim. When he says, check this out, when he says he wants loyalists, what does he mean?
People that are going to ride with him.
And so the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. He knows who Matt Gaetz is. They know who they are, Tim.
Wow.
Listen, poisonous snakes don't bite other poisonous snakes, Tim.
Yeah, they do. I don't know about them. That's bad, though. I mean, this is, like I said, if Trump knew what was in that investigation report, what was it? They just felt confident it would never come out? The facts would never be known?
That's why he resigned, because if he resigned, they figured it wouldn't come out and nobody would have to own the fact that they knew what was in that report. If they put him up, it was going to come out. And then everybody has to answer the question that I'm asking. All you guys were okay with this? Now it shows a certain level of them being complicit in what's going on.
So in other words, the worst thing that could have ever happened to him is Trump giving him a promotion.
He should have just stayed where the hell he was. That's what he should have done.
Yeah.
Right? But he should have stayed where he was but at the end of the day, we, not them, this is on us. Right? This is on us. This is on MAGA, meaning don't excuse it. Just say what it is. Just say that's deplorable and we can't stand for that. But
I think you covered in the beginning of our conversation. Most likely because you saw folks in the comments said stop lying and things like that. MAGA's not going to believe it, and I've said that on my live many times that I always use the phrase, let's just say for shits and giggles, Trump committed a major felony, and I always ask MAGA, who could tell you that Trump did that? If he really let's say he really committed a crime, who could tell you and you would actually believe it? And that's where the problem is that if Trump is saying I'm innocent, or he's saying that Matt Gaetz is innocent, and he's convinced you that the people that are telling you that he's guilty are all lying, then as far as you're concerned, Matt Gaetz cannot do anything wrong. And that's the position Trump is in. It's because the people that will be responsible for telling you that Trump is committing a crime, you've already convinced yourself that they're not trustworthy.
So let me ask you this. Then. One simple question. What kind of behavior is that, Tim?
I gotta go.
It's cultish behavior, and that's my whole point. If facts will never do, because you're convicted in the position you're in, that is a cult of personality. Full stop. There is no other way around.
It's super loyal. Yes, you're being.
No, it's not super loyal.
Super loyal.
I get it. It's not my live. I'll say it. It's not my live.
It's cult-like. Listen, I get what you're saying. You're saying it's cult-like. I don't disagree that that's certainly a cult-like way to view things. If I won't believe anybody that tells me you did something wrong, then it does mean in my eyes you are incapable of doing wrong unless you do it to me specifically. I'm not going to believe anybody else that tells me you done something to them. So,
that's right. And when we're talking about women and we're talking about children, all the rest of that shit they're spouting. I told you before, they don't care about children. They don't care.
I can't go that far with it. I
can, because if your argument is the arguments they have, there's more evidence to support that there are bigger factual fish to fry, right? Other than mass deportation, where are all the children, all of that. But you got all of this essay going on, not just in the country, but from the people that he's nominated to be next to him. Don't tell me you care about children.
All right.
Period. Full stop.
All right, Mike. You gave me
on that. I'll have the conversation.
You gave me a thorough tongue lashing this evening. Thank you for coming through as always, though. I appreciate it. And we will factor in Matt Gaetz in the conversation because you got a valid point. You got a valid point.
Yeah, and we will have some eggnog tomorrow and talk some more shit.
Always a pleasure, Mike. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Brother. Thank you for steering me in the right direction. All right, looking in and he's right about the Matt Gaetz. We're going to talk about Trump threatening to take over the Panama Canal, threatening to acquire Greenland, Biden pardoning folks on death row. But he is right. The Matt Gaetz story is a big story. Not necessarily just from a Matt Gaetz standpoint, because Matt Gaetz is not in position to get the job anymore. The reason why it's a story is because a hell of a lot of people that are serving this great nation, still working in Washington, knew that guy was capable of all of that, had did all of that, and they weren't going to tell you. A lot of Matt Gaetz' congressional brothers and sisters knew what he was doing, and they were perfectly happy watching Trump appoint him to be attorney general. He was going to be America's top cop. He was going to be the top cop, just like Attorney General Barr used to be, or Eric Holder under Obama. The top cop in the nation was going to have all of that on his resume. And the right was totally okay with that, at least the right that knew about it. Real quick in the comments, Ed G says, so Biden didn't know he was pardoning cash for kids. That's the other story in regards to Biden pardoning a judge that was part of a cash for kids scandal. I don't think Biden did know, Ed. I think that President Biden probably has advisors that are telling him, you should pardon this dude, you should pardon him, you should pardon him. And he trusts the advisors and just pardon the guy. Now, whoever told Biden, and I do believe somebody told him to pardon that judge in Pennsylvania, whoever told him to do it, that person needs to be outed, because that person probably has some bad connection to that judge. Now, that judge was obviously receiving kickbacks from for-profit juvenile institutions, and he was sentencing kids to incarceration and actually receiving financial kickbacks for it. That's why they call it kids for cash. I made a whole video about it on YouTube about how, some of the things that are wrong with this country, that too many people are making immoral decisions because they're chasing the almighty dollar. But that's capitalism. Remember Obama came along and we hated socialism? Well, these are the problems of capitalism. You always hear about how great capitalism is, where you can start from the bottom and end up here, as Drake would say. People don't talk about all the negative shit about capitalism. There's a lot of negative to go along with it too, but different live stream. Looking in the comments real quick, let's not forget Ashley Biden accused her father of sexual assault. What happened? Nothing. I'm not for sure that's accurate. Crystal Lopez, is that the case where it was a diary found and things like that? And also, too, you're talking about, now you're saying Ashley Biden accused her father, saying, how far back are we going with that? Because Biden is like 80-some years old. That's not something recent. And I see in the comments, Alicia, this is what I thought also. Alicia says his daughter denied all of that. That's what I thought happened on that as well. But even still, you're talking about something that's got to be 50 plus years old. Should have came out when he was a congressman, senator, vice president. You wait till the guy's damn near dead to bring that up. But I heard the same thing, that his daughter actually denied those allegations. Looking in the comments, Trey the Lion says, does it matter how far? Yeah, it does. Because when I've had a million debates, I'll go to the box. But and by the way, tap the screen, folks. Get your boy on up to about 20,000 on the likes. Tap the screen, show the program some love. Let your thumbs not be lazy. We don't block, ban, or censor. This is a free speech program. It always has been. It always will be. And we always will remain MAGA friendly. That is always the stance of this program, always will be. But in regards to, does it matter how far back? I can tell you this, when Trump got elected and folks started criticizing Trump, whether it was on infidelity, whether it was accusations of sexual assault, whether it was about his businesses, his bankruptcies, whatever came up, Trump supporters were saying, he is the president. I don't give a damn what happened before he was president. I care about what he's doing now. They didn't want to hear a damn thing about what happened in his past. So when you ask the question, Trey, does it matter how far back it is? It sure mattered to MAGA. They didn't give a damn about what Trump did 20, 30, 40 years ago. So all of a sudden now we're supposed to look at what Biden did with the crime bill, or something with his daughter that probably happened back in the 1960s. want to make sure we call a spade, no matter who's dealing the cards. It can't be something that is noteworthy for Biden, but if it's old on Trump, it's irrelevant. I've had a lot of folks say that, well, what happened before he was president? I don't care about that. But you want to bring up the crime bill, you want to bring up something old like Willie Brown on Kamala Harris. I want to point that out. Looking at the comments, can you find an exact title somewhat? I'll totally check it out right away. Most of the diary was irrelevant, but it was pretty clear. Yeah, like I said, Biden's an 80-year-old man. So how old is that daughter now? Talking about her dad, sexually assaulted her. It's got to be at least 50 years ago, I would assume. Maybe further. Maybe further back than 50 years. And the girl denied it. So I don't know where you go with that. Do you force her to say, yeah, you were assaulted regardless of what you're saying? Let me go back to the box. And I see in the comments, Gen X says she denied it as well. Amps, good evening. Welcome to the program, Amps. Certainly, if you want to talk about the Matt Gaetz story, which is horrendous, we can certainly bring that up. But why is Trump talking about taking over Greenland and the Panama Canal? Amps, good evening. Amps 48, are you there? Yeah, can you hear me? Amps, you got a bad signal. Yeah, you got a bad signal. I don't know how well it's going to work. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, there's some sort of a delay. Are you there? Yeah. I'm gonna have to move it on, Amp. Something's wrong there. Apparently, we got a bad signal, bad connection. Real quick in the comments before I go to the next caller. I'm talking about while he was president. You could tell me old ass President Biden was assaulting his daughter while he was president. Really? 77 years of age? I don't think that's what you're talking about. There's got to be more to it than that. I know you ain't trying to get me to believe that. Tim, you should really read the footnotes on Gaetz. They are fire, made just for you. The cliff notes on Gaetz are fire, but the footnotes, I guess they probably would be even worse. But the cliff notes on them is bad enough. I mean, damn, what else did he do? I know he was allegedly taking X and drugs. He paid over $100,000 for sex. Obviously had sex with somebody that was underage, allegedly, multiple times. And as my last caller pointed out, he was asking for pussy coupons to get it on discount. What else is in there? Damn. First Watch. Good evening. Welcome to the program. What else is in there? Jesus Christ. First Watch. Good evening.
What's up, Tim? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. Is Trump on some kind of conquest?
No, Trump not on a conquest. But let me remind you something about Greenland. Greenland is also being inquired by China because Greenland have a lot of resources. So I don't think he's being a dictator. And
what does it got to do with us, though? What does it got? I mean, we've acquired countries too. What does it got to do with us?
Yeah, I know, but we've acquired more countries in order to. You asked what was the reason Trump doing what he's doing in order to help the American people. They have the cobalt, they have a lot of minerals and things that we need that China should not be inquiring.
Isn't it up to the people of Greenland to decide? I mean, what are they, just pawns in all of this?
No, come on, Tim. You know how this world go. Thank God that this world is the way it is. That's the reason why we're not slaves anymore. So it's not just
So you and I, who likely have slavery in our ancestry, we're going to defend taking over another country. So now we're going to be the slave owners to Greenland? I mean,
it's not the point of defending taking over another country or something like that. It's the point of survival. Right now, you ask, why would it benefit America? And I'm asking a question on why it would benefit America.
So,
just like
you said it's about survival. So you said if we don't acquire Greenland, our very survival is threatened?
I mean, pretty much. You already know, and you talk about the Trump and Elon about he's supporting electric vehicles right now. I mean, come on, Tim.
How is wait, hold on. How is our survival threatened? There's 180 countries on Earth. Most of them do not own Greenland, and they're not saying their survival is threatened. Why is our survival threatened if we don't own Greenland?
because we wouldn't stay as the top leader in the world, because we won't have the mineral. Right now, we don't have. We could say that we're going to do clean. I heard Trump talking about we're going to do clean coal and stuff like that, but that's not the way of the future. It's sooner or later we're going to have to change over, and there's certain places and certain things that we need.
So this isn't about survival. This is about domination. Sounds like you said, because our place at the top of the food chain. You're talking about domination. You're not talking about survival. You're talking about dominating the world.
I'm not talking about domination. I'm talking about, if you want to use those words as if domination, then those who dominate the world and run the world is the one make decisions for the weaker people that's in the world. Now, the people who's not making the decisions in the world, they depend on people, I guess you could say the powers to be, in order to make sure that we survive, we still alive, and we have a functioning economy so that we can do things that we need to do in order.
And where does the people of Greenland fall in this?
The people of Greenland right now, they fall into the same category as Canada, because
we don't own Canada.
We don't own Canada, but just like we don't own Canada, Canada survived off America. Right now, Trump is joking about.
Is that what that is? Is that what that is? That's a joke?
Tim, you said it yourself. You said he's the best that does it, and before he get in office, he already intimidating and saying things. He's not president.
This isn't. Yeah, but I've had callers that live in Greenland come on the show. They're not laughing at this first watch. This is frightening shit. This isn't funny to them.
Well, let me ask you something. Is America a dictatorship? Because right now, as I know it, if we have anything to do with Greenland or we're not a dictatorship. They will still have their own freedom. And matter of fact, they might be better off up under United States.
Do they get a say-so in this? Because you do realize there are people who think that you and I are better off under the United States instead of walking around with a bone in our nose in Africa. They've said the same thing about you and I, that we're better off, that they brought us here and made us slaves and taught us Christianity, because now we're living in a civilized society. Do the people of Greenland get a say-so in this? You're going to just tell them, we're going to conquer your place and this will be better for you? Is that what's happening?
Tim, the way you worded and structured what you just said, I'm not going to totally disagree with you, but what I'm going to say is Greenland have a government. Now, if Greenland government agree and speaks and make the decision for Greenland, that means that the people did it. Just like when we send money to Ukraine. Matter of fact, I just heard Putin saying that, hey, we are still doing the war. So that's letting me know that the war is almost over in Ukraine. So before Trump take office, the war in Ukraine should be over. But anyway, Greenland.
Wait a minute. What are you basing that on?
I'm basing that on from listening to the Russian news.
You believe the Russian news? Really? Who you, Tucker Carlson?
I believe if Putin have the audacity to tell his people that they're still in the fight in Ukraine and the fight is not over, to give them that security, then therefore, for his people to need that security, something must be going on, and he's reassuring them that they're not going to get the short end of the stick.
Okay,
well, but at the same time, that was just something that I just had wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, I don't even think the Russian news is honest with the Russian people. An American quoting the Russian news, like I said, who are you, Tucker Carlson? All of a sudden, Russian news is not trustworthy.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's the point.
Okay, all right. So you agree with Trump? You would be favorable to us acquiring Greenland.
Yes, not only do I agree with him on Greenland, I also agree with him on the Panama Canal, because China is also inquiring, listening to the Chinese news, China is also inquiring about the Panama Canal also.
That's true.
So right now you have two of our adversaries. I wouldn't think that, the only reason why we're talking about this and saying it, because it's a possibility and probability that something like this is happening. So with that being said, evidently, if everybody listens to the powers that be, then something is moving and going on that we doesn't know
You know
about.
what this
So
sounds like though? First watch. It sounds like the
what?
United States is competing with China for who's going to chop up and dominate the world. If China takes some, we better take more. It sounds like both of the
You
countries,
right.
China and America, are
You
both.
right. You right.
Then how does
You
that make us
definitely
look?
right. I know, but without me saying anything to go against what you're saying, because I support you 100%. But China are building islands. China are actually building islands and putting military bases in them in places that we don't have.
We are the only
So
country. Wait, first watch. We're the only country on Earth that has a military base on every continent. So now all of a sudden
but
China
China
gets a few
is,
bases and we're
yeah.
jealous.
Yeah, but China is building bases and putting military bases. They already done stopped the fuel our portways. So what you talking about, the Panama Canal, it's like, wow, that's a pattern. Now I
Yeah.
actually see what they're doing. Is that we even with Biden, I mean, this is something that just happened today, and I don't want to speak too much on it because maybe you'll have a show. But with Biden supplying them with more ammunition and giving them more training over in Taiwan, is with that being said, and listening to a semi-threat from China, I support Trump with everything that he does as far as anything that China do adversary. I support him.
What happened to? But what happened to? He's going to get us out of overseas involvement. You know, I'm tired of spending American tax money on policing the world. Wasn't he promising to focus on America first? This sounds like just the opposite.
I don't think that's America. I don't think that's focused on opposite of America first, because without these certain canals, pathways, and even Pete Buttigieg had talked about this and spoke about it when the economy broke down without, the overseas transportation and stuff like that. See, these things are important. It's a part of our economy.
I'm hearing Trump said he was a nationalist. It was going to be America first, spend money on Americans. This sounds like the total opposite of what he promised. Now all of a sudden you're talking about acquiring Greenland. That's going to cost a fortune. You got to spend to set that up. Now you're talking about taking over the Panama Canal.
That's not opposite of what he said. He said peace through strength. And sometimes you have to acquire and you have to make certain stances and position yourself in certain positions so you don't have to go to war. You don't have to prove yourself in a adversarial way.
If you take over the Panama Canal, the only way to do that is by military.
Can you please not say take over?
What? Give me your stance on it. What is your word of it? Because he says go ahead.
My word of it is, right now, I just told you, China is trying to acquire.
China ain't got nothing to do with this.
Yes, it does. So if China trying to acquire the Panama Canal, which is our adversary, we do not have to take over it, but we have to enforce the laws and the contracts that we have with Panama. And if not, then we have to take control of it so that we can stop our enemy and adversary to stop our economy from working.
All right.
That's it.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't see how you do this stuff without military involvement. I mean, this the only way Panama is going to be interested in letting America come and retake the Panama Canal. You're going to need the military. Greenland is also going to require the military.
They don't have a military in order to stand up against our military, and I don't want to put us against them like that because they should be our adversaries. But at the point and the time when you negotiation, just like if you and I was having negotiation, if I didn't agree with the terms that you gave to me in the beginning, just because I rebuke what you said and want to present another term to you, that doesn't mean I have anything against you. I'm your enemy. I'm trying to take anything for you.
Wait. You do realize if America regains control of Panama, that's the biggest wage earner in that country. If we take that over, we're going to destroy that country financially. You do understand that, right?
Of course I understand that, Tim, but I hope that Panama understand that. So as long as they understand that, so they stop overtaxing and doing things that they shouldn't do outside of their contract, which they have broken several times. And right now, we're just going to enforce the contract. That's it. And as far as Matt Gaetz, that committee that released that the ethics report, that's all it is. It's an ethics report. That's why I kept saying.
Do you believe that? Do you not believe? Wait. Do you not believe that he had sex?
Because I know the law and I believe in the law. I believe in the law. I believe if they'd have found out that even if he didn't know that the girl was 17 years old and he slept with her, I believe they would have arrested him. In my heart, I believe that because I believe in the law. Now, outside of that, with him paying, he's not married. He could buy all the stuff that he want to buy because we talk about Kamala Harris, about her doing certain things. We talk about Trump. We talk about all these different people. Matter of fact, we even on Diddy. So we talk about all these things. So him having these, because his ethics report was nothing except opinions. It was nothing factual. Because if it was, no matter how bad it was, right now, an FBI agent would have that report, and they would be.
So you think he would have been a decent top cop? You think he should have been?
I think that Matt Gaetz. I think that and please don't take this the wrong way.
I'm gonna take it the way you say it. I'm gonna take it the way you say it. Go ahead.
And earlier you said the wrong thing about he had an S and A. He never had an SA. He paid for everything he did. He didn't take nothing. So as long as you pay for what you're doing, because I don't want to go through.
He's a fucking John. He's a John. Wait, hold on. He is even if what you're saying is true, you're basically saying he is a John engaging in prostitution while he was a member of Congress. That's what you're saying.
John engaging in prostitution as a member of Congress. If that's the way you want to put it,
that's what you just said.
Put it. What I'm saying is he paid for his good times in order to be up under the law. So we respect the law. We're a law-abiding country. So outside of MAGA this and listen, it's a lot of things that I said and wanted to say about people who just overlook certain things. Matter of fact, it's just one thing that I wanted to say to you that
real quick, I gotta move it on, but give me what you got.
And I'm gonna let you go because I can't stay on the phone with you either. I have a lot to do. But anyway, it's one thing about the churches. Okay?
I'm
the
listening.
Churches and the LBG community. I hate it when you separate those two. Those two are actually a part of the same tree. And I'm just going to leave it like that. You always say, the churches do this. And listen, LGBT, if a person or a preacher or anybody does things that's outside of the morality that they do, it falls up under a certain category when you look it up and define it.
All right, that's a different conversation. I gotta go. That's a different conversation.
Just stop separating, and I love you, Tim. Bye.
All right, appreciate you coming through. Interesting conversation. Wow, that went a lot of different directions, but there it is, folks. That's part of the reason why, despite the investigation, many were still going with Matt Gaetz. You just heard that viewer. He doesn't believe Matt Gaetz committed any crimes. He doesn't believe the statutory rape accusations or any of that. My guess is there's a hell of a lot of MAGA that are just like him. As he stated, if Matt Gaetz had really been with an underage girl, he believes in the law, and the law would have went after him. Wow. Tim, your chat is being attacked by meth heads. Damn, I think bots or very drugged out humans. If someone is in the comments doing it, let me know. I don't like to block, ban, or censor anybody, but if people are in the comment section just deliberately being, what they call it, spamming or whatever, I occasionally have to do it, a handful of times. Out of the 3 years I've been on, I think I've blocked someone in the comment section less than 10 times. And some people get in there, they want to just type the N-word or something like that. I don't give a damn what you say, but if you are putting things in there that are going to trigger the YouTube or TikTok censors, I got to do what I got to do. And we do get viewers that are like that occasionally. And those I do have to take out. So if you see somebody doing something like that, call him out, and I'll certainly make that move. Let me go back to the box real quick, and thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Should have been around 20,000. Should have had about 20,000 likes. Harris Jordan, user guy, you said blocked Harris Jordan. I blocked Harris Jordan before. Yeah, I have. Me and him got into a match where, we get into debates. He's passionate. He's always welcome on the program, but he gets real passionate in his debates, and he's, screaming and cussing, and it is what it is. He doesn't like to let you talk back. I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but he's welcome on the program, but I had to cut him, a couple of times because he just was so passionate in his opinion that I'm just going to talk and I'm not even going to hear what you got to say. Then that's not a debate. Looking in the comments, good luck to that nonsense. I don't know what you said. See it, we can something sh on you for, we can shit on you for such a height you will thank God himself crapped on you. Damn. I don't know where you're going with that, but continuing on with the program, I do want to make sure I am looking for that if it's coming through. Anyhow, I'll go back to the box. Thank you guys that are tapping the screen. Steve says made some really good points. Okay, fair enough. I think you're talking about my last caller. I do too best to keep it in the comments. Yeah, I don't block men or censor the comments. You can certainly speak your mind in the comments, but people who are, deliberately trying to, just like, insulting your looks or something that has nothing to do with the show and just doing it over and over again, typing the same thing 100 times so that nobody else can speak. Those people, yeah, you do have to censor them, if you will. Dencal, that was the most incoherent shit I've heard since DJ Julio. Who said that? Mike. He said my last caller was the most incoherent shit I've heard since DJ Julio. Good evening, Dencal. And Steve, you said get more opposition like him. Good job. The show is open. And now sometimes when we getting critical of Trump supporters or we get critical of MAGA, a lot of times MAGA do not like hearing criticism of the president. So they hear you criticizing Trump and they just tune out. Whereas I do take MAGA on the program. I let them speak freely. They can criticize the liberals as well. But if you are a viewer that just does not like to hear criticism of President Trump, this is a free speech show. You're not going to like it because people are criticizing the left and right. If you want to hear favorable conversation for Trump and criticism only in regards to liberals, there are other shows. This isn't it. We're criticizing and we're speaking on everybody. Dencal, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, so you heard my last caller, I take it.
Yes, I did. Better you than me, man, because you can have a conversation with somebody.
He was interesting.
Contradicting what he's saying in the next sentence. In one sentence, I really believe in the justice system. Then he turns around and says, "Well, if they haven't taken him to jail, he must not did anything."
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that.
Hell? He said, "Well, it wasn't really, it was just he was just getting a little look on the side. You know what I'm saying? That's cool, dude. He was in Congress."
Yeah. Why do you think that they read that report, that investigation, and they let him stay? Before you said it, Ed, who's making fun of Tim's looks, he's a cutie pie. Ed, gee, thank you. You crazy. But why do you think that so many folks read that investigative report and was still adamantly behind Trump appointing him as America's top cop?
Because they thought he had the power to suppress it. They watched him do it for himself so many times. He probably said, "Look, hold my beer. Watch what I do," because he came out in support of Matt Gaetz, and he didn't want the thing to be released. So he probably thought he had enough juice, and with Mike Johnson, which Mike Johnson came out immediately and said, "I don't think it should be publicized." Dude.
Yeah.
They found in the inquiry that he was guilty of statutory rape. Like, what do you mean you don't think it should be released?
It makes me wonder if they're willing to circle the wagons on something like that. what type of administration we're going to have. If you know one of your members of, it's like the police, we talk about the cops all the time. If you know you got a bad cop on the force, and instead of outing him, you circle the wagons and try to protect him, it ruins the whole force. I'm going to say the same on this. If you know especially as a top cop, if the top cop has that kind of corruption in his own past, what kind of top cop will he be?
I mean, the only thing we can hope for is that there are some people that do have a moral compass. Like, they might bend to the will of Trump and everything, but to some people, there's just bridges that are too far. And that's even true with the Supreme Court. They all want to cater to Trump and everything, but certain things they just cannot. You know what I'm saying? They just cannot succumb to it, because that would ruin them, like, more than just politically. Like, when you got to look at the people that you love and stuff, because some of these people, just like they did with this fight over the budget stuff, like 30 something of those Republicans said, no, we're not doing what you said. So that's the only thing we can.
So in other words, his administration might not be as loyal as he thinks.
Right, but
Now we're not talking about the people. Now we're not talking about the people he appointed. I mean Congress.
Yeah, because he probably looking at them as one entity.
Right.
But when these people get pushed to the table, and it doesn't matter if they sitting around the table, an ethics committee, and it's 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans, and they listening to this young lady, which they got her testimony of him doing and the other hard DRUGs and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's hard for them to be like, well, we just gonna turn our back, because they know eventually that stuff is going to come out and their name's going to be tied to it. So I believe there are limitations that even Trump can't really fathom, because right now he just wants to bowl over everybody and just make everybody succumb to his will. And there are a lot of people that are doing it. Now they're saying the Ford Motor Company, now they contributing to his inauguration. Like, all of these billionaires and rich people are contributing. But there are certain people in certain places that I have to hope, at least, that there's enough integrity. They're not going to be able to stop them from doing all of this stuff. But just imagine, we almost had a child rapist as our, top cop in this country.
Damn.
And these people who swear that Hunter Biden needs to be punished because he had those tapes and he was doing drugs and he wasn't even in the government. And them same people right now,
all of a sudden, they whole tune changed when it was one of their own.
Yeah. They ain't got, look, they like, well, he's not in there anymore. They just want to forget about the person who knew this information and still decided to put him up to be the top cop. Nobody's talking about him. I choose the best people. Nobody's talking about that anymore. Remember, they said the last time he didn't know what he was doing. He was getting in.
Yeah, and I meant to hold a show in regards to that. Like, because you're right. They said the first time he didn't really know what he was doing and he was new to, and I was going to ask that question. Has he really learned his lesson? Because it does appear with Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth looked like he's going to get through. Tulsi Gabbard may or may not get through. But it looks like he is still making questionable appointments.
Looks like. I mean, with all of the foreign issues that Tulsi got, there's no way she should be getting that position. And even if it's not all technically not all true, we still have to have some type of integrity. Like, these people are going to be dealing with other people in other countries, and all of those other people in those high-level positions, they know this stuff. Yeah. They know that she's been having secret meetings with the Iran or whoever she was having.
She was meeting with Assad, the guy who's been ousted in Syria. Yeah.
And she's also been known to have connections with Putin. Like, there's no way she should be the representative of our country in that fashion. I ain't saying she shouldn't have no job in the government. But, I mean, he's literally appointing people that are antithetical to the positions that they're getting.
Yeah. So what do you, with her having communications with both Assad of Syria and Putin. I mean, what are the chances that maybe she's reporting directly to Trump? Because he might somehow have backdoor communications with them as well.
Well, I mean, the chances are she is the backdoor communication.
Damn.
But the problem is that's outside of how our government is supposed to function, whether they like it or not. You can't just, well, I guess you can. You can just start a whole nother wing of government called Doge and just tell these people, now we got the people that are already, it's their job in Congress.
Everybody's expecting Trump to be far greater, a far better, more efficient administration than Biden. What do you think we're heading into? Because people think he's going to be way better than Biden.
Well, that's that's kind of your opinion about what do you consider better? Like what's better?
Well, what if we take over Greenland and take over the Panama Canal and but think about it, that we would become a bigger, stronger nation if we just start conquering people. It wouldn't make us morally right, but then again, America got to be the strongest nation by doing immoral shit. So
that's not. I don't believe that stuff is going to happen. I have to believe better of this country.
You sound like MAGA.
And better of the world in general, that we will not start doing Putin-like activities around the world. Like, we don't like what you're doing. We think that should be ours, so we're just going to take it. Like, I hope to goodness that we're not going down that path. I know that's what he's saying.
You sound like MAGA suggesting that, but we can't believe what he's actually saying. Hold on a second. See it on YouTube. Thank you for becoming a friend of the program. It might have something to do with the fact that I saw you getting jumped in the comments, but thank you, see it. I do appreciate that. But you sound like MAGA, Denkow, when you're saying, well, he might just be joking, or he's, I hope he ain't going to do that. He is talking about doing this stuff.
Right, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm on the opposite end of them. I know he's not joking, but that doesn't mean that I don't think he will attempt to do these things. But what people have to understand also is that's a geopolitical hot potato to mess with the Panama Canal because of how much commerce goes through it.
Right.
America can't just say, well, we'll take this and we'll take that. The world don't work like that. Now, I know.
Well, if we were to take, you talk about Trump talking about making America great again and being efficient. If he was to successfully take control of the Panama Canal, because we're the number one country sending commerce through that canal. Number two is China. If we took control of that canal, we would essentially be able to really put the hurt on China's exporting business, because now they got to pay us to get to the West and ship things places. We could make a fortune by doing that, but I don't know, it might spark a war here or there, but we can make a fortune by doing it, though.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And regardless to, like, the one thing about America that I thought was good, even though we've done such horrible things to all of these people around the country, is as of late in the recent history, like, we know that we have the power to just bully all of these countries and do whatever we want.
And that's what it is.
But it's the ability to have that power and not use it is what makes you a better superpower. Like, everybody knows we could just go to Iran and do what we want. Yeah. We don't do that because your word is your bond. Like what you said, because what he's talking about is breaking the treaty with Panama, because the lease ran up and we had to give it back to them. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I see somebody in the comments already said we paid for it, and they said that Crystal Lopez has it in caps. We paid for the Panama Canal. The thing about it is, okay, the Panama Canal runs through their country, so they lost some land by letting the seas run through their country. You think America gets to own that forever? I mean, obviously America paid to have it created, but I mean, eventually, like you said, the contract ran out. They don't get to own the portion of land they chopped through. I mean, we don't get to own that forever. I mean, that's got to be the biggest financial earner for that whole country. is charging ships to pass through.
You gotta understand. You gotta imagine if through all of the geopolitical wars and all that stuff, and that stuff that happened in Panama, and we go in there because they can't take care of it. They don't have the wherewithal to expand it. So we lease it basically from them.
Right.
And we put our resources to expand it. That's just like if somebody leases a piece of property from you and they put in a jacuzzi and they put a pool in the back. At the end of your lease, you don't get to say, well, I'm going to stay here because I done put this money into it and improve your property.
But I think you made a point about the bullying part, and this is why I think Trump's going to come out looking like a really effective president. Because at the end of the day, Panama's not going to. I mean, if Trump calls their bluff and says we want either you charge, because what he's saying is you either charge our ships a fair rate to go through the Panama Canal, or we're going to take it back. So obviously, eventually, push come to shove, Panama's going to drop how much they're charging our ships to go through. That's likely what's going to happen, and Trump's going to start bragging about how much he saved us on, the export market, which should, or at the least which could amount to lower prices at the grocery store and lower prices on goods and services. He may be onto something. He's just doing it in a bullying sort of way, but he might be onto something.
It sounds good without the context of the reason why Panama actually charges us the fees that they do. And I don't want to get too
through the global warming and the water and all of that.
Yeah, it's not enough water and all that stuff. They can't just allow people to just go through willy. They can't look.
Americans don't give. I 100% agree with you. Americans don't give a fuck about that. If they're paying cheaper, cheaper at the grocery store, they don't care how Trump did it. They don't care how the sausage is made. They're going to give Trump credit for lowering prices, even if it means children might be dying overseas in factories making shoes. They don't care. They want the price cheaper. That's all they care about.
I get that, but there's also a larger geopolitical situation where the other countries, like Panama, can't afford to just drastically cut our fee and keep on making those other countries pay what they're going to pay. As a matter of fact, since we're probably one of the biggest customers, if they cut our rates, they probably can't even finance the thing anymore to keep it going.
Well, so you can get them money on the back end though. If all of a sudden we force Panama to lower the rates for our ships coming through, we can tell them we'll give you money through some congressional program on the back end, because once they lower the ships coming through and they make it so that our exports are dropping and Trump can deliver cheaper goods on the shelves of stores, he can always take it out of tax money and send the money back to Panama that they're losing in the backdoor way and not lose any voters. The voters are going to see that Trump promised to bring down the price of groceries and goods and services, and it's happening. They're not going to care anything about other numbers that he finagle and move around.
I don't know. That's a deeper like geopolitical.
Yeah.
Like I would have to look at the numbers to see like how much of that stuff transiting. I know we're one of the biggest customers, but I believe that that's more export than it is import. And so if that's the case, even if they shut down, even if they give us lower prices to let American ships go through it, that's not going to necessarily filter down to the American consumer. We already know that that's not what caused inflation going through the Panama Canal.
No, you are right. Price gouging had a lot to do with it. I see Anthony Bellamy in the comments is even saying the same thing. He said that groceries and gas prices aren't going down. The corporations are going to keep the prices low. Here's my pushback to him and you, Dencal. A lot of people are scared of Trump. I do believe that Trump could basically scare the shit out of corporations and make them reduce that price gouging better than Biden. I mean, look how many people are coming. Look how many people are getting behind him already. Jeff Bezos of Amazon is going to meet with him. Zuckerberg's going to meet with him. Folks are bowing down to this guy. So if
but not one of them, they bowing down to him because they're going to give $1 million donation to keep their prices where they at. Nobody bowing down by saying we gonna start lowering our prices. None of the people going there are price cutting anything. They're falling in line because they don't want him to come after them in the public space.
I don't know. I'd be curious to see. I don't think the price gouging is going to continue under Trump. I do believe that Trump has a lot of bullying power, and people are fearful of him. I think that people are fearful of him in a way that they've never been of any other president.
Look, he's not. Look, those people, in my opinion, they don't look at it, and Trump doesn't look at it as price gouging. He looks at it as just business because he's a businessman.
Yeah, but you promised to bring down the prices of groceries and goods and services.
He did that on his own, and now he's saying, "I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard." Once the price, he's already said it out his mouth.
Well, he's going to need to deliver on some of these promises for the midterms. Otherwise, he's going to be a lame duck. I mean,
he's going to need to. He's going to need to. All he's got to do is, like you said, go in there. Maybe get a couple of a couple of items in the grocery store. Maybe get General Mills to lower the price of cereal. 10 cents.
Just enough to make a point.
Parade that across and be like, look, everything is fine. And the mindset of MAGA is, look, he did it.
I want to be Trump. I got to go, but you are right. It don't take much to satisfy people who are already satisfied. It doesn't take much. Wow.
But I just don't believe. I don't believe that. We know that a lot of people are scared of him, but there are a lot of people out there that are not going to just. It might seem like they bowing down because they gave him $1 million, but what is that to Jeff Bezos?
I'm not talking about that they give him. I mean, I'm talking about they coming to meet with the guy. You don't know what's going on in those behind the scenes meetings. I mean, we don't know.
We know Trump is not that very intelligent, and we know that these other people that are coming to talk to him are very, very intelligent.
I'm not going to say the guy's not intelligent. I'm not going to say the guy's not intelligent. I'm going to say the guy is really good at schmoozing people. It's worked very well for him throughout life. I don't see a guy who's a multi-billionaire being unintelligent. He's intelligent. He's just intelligent at what he does.
We know that he can be manipulated with giving him compliments and saying, we know that. We've seen him. We've seen it.
That don't mean he's unintelligent, though.
Well, yeah. I guess if you're saying that if I had him and Jeff Bezos sitting at a table together, who would be able to mentally beat each other in a negotiation? Right. I would say Jeff Bezos would slaughter him 10 out of 10 times.
But I don't think Jeff Bezos, if he ran for president against Trump, would beat him. Trump has the gift of gab. Jeff Bezos is a better businessman than Trump. But Trump has the gift of gab.
That's all. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that these people that are coming to see him, we all view that as them bowing down to him. But they're not bowing down to him if they don't change the price of their goods and services. If they come there and give him $1 million, which to Jeff Bezos is like throwing out a penny out of the back window.
He's going to get more than $1 million out of Jeff Bezos is what I'm trying to tell you. It's going to be more than that.
That's going to be for him personally. He's not doing it for the betterment of the country.
Okay.
He's going to get more out of him. How?
Let's see if the price gouging ends. You and I disagree with that. I think under Trump, he will threaten some. Now, you may be more correct in saying maybe he does it to General Mills or a handful of companies, and MAGA thinks that is enough. That might happen. But I do believe the prices of some things are going to go down under Trump just so he can have the bragging rights of saying, see, I brought the price down on that. He's going to find something to do that.
Yeah,
to.
but then we have to have this conversation in the context of what is reality and what's MAGA reality. If you say it's good enough to say you right because he put a couple of products on there, but we know that the index hasn't gone down or anything. But we just see him parading, illegals going across the state, across the TV and saying, okay, he completed his deportation. But me and you personally, but yeah, of course, the conversation you have with MAGA is going to be totally separate.
Yeah,
because they're going to be saying he did everything.
It's a shell game. He's doing what all politicians do. He's just doing it directed at MAGA, but they all play a shell game. They all try to give you just enough to satisfy your wishes. I mean, Biden, you name it, they all do that. It's a shell game. Trump is.
So was Biden's shell game? What he tried to give people, the school loan thing, he tried to do it, and he got billions of dollars worth, but not as much as he originally said. So is that promise made, the promise kept, or not?
Well, I was one of the guys who wanted the loan, and I didn't get it. I wanted my loans forgiven. I didn't get it, so it wasn't promises kept to me. But he really wanted to do that. The Republicans stopped him. He really wanted to do that.
Billions of dollars got knocked off of people's student loans. Billions, not nearly as much as what he wanted to do. But so that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to put it in context.
But the difference between this is why I say Trump has the gift of gab. But Trump would have put the people that he was forgiving student loans for every rally. He would have had 20 of them on stage, and it would have looked like promises made, promises kept. Biden didn't do that.
Sure.
That's the difference. I got to go then, Cal. Appreciate it.
All right.
Good talk. All right, moving on. And that's what I do believe, that Trump has the gift of gab. He can make a mountain out of a molehill. Like Lincoln Riley gets taken out by an immigrant. So he takes out, every family that has lost somebody to immigrant violence, he puts them on stage at the rallies. So it looks like there's thousands of these people. Biden could have done that, as my last caller was pointing out, with the student loans he did forgive, but he didn't do that. So it looks like he really didn't succeed on forgiving student loans. There are, as my last caller pointed out, there are hundreds of people. Millions of dollars was forgiven. He did meet his promise to some degree, but the American people don't necessarily know that because he's not as good as Trump at parading his successes. Let me go back to the comment section. Trump ain't shit. Will is my favorite Trump fan. He starts out by saying Trump ain't ish, but he says shit. Yeah, Trump ain't shit. MAGA says he won't do this or that, but where the shit hits the fan, they will be in shock. But you say MAGA says he won't do this and he won't do that, but when the shit hits the fan, they will be in shock, but will have to go along with it as they bow down to the beast. I don't know. What could Trump possibly do that would put MAGA in shock? I do believe that, and I've said this on the program many times, I do believe that MAGA is going to roll with Trump regardless. You got Democrats, independents, traditional Republicans, and MAGA. MAGA is different from traditional Republicans. Traditional Republicans, small government, Second Amendment rights, pro-life, pro-family, pro-police, pro-military. MAGA is pro-Trump. Okay? Trump is pro-Second Amendment and some of that other stuff. But if he changes his mind, MAGA doesn't necessarily chastise him. Like when Trump talked about taking away guns without due process, banning bump stocks, he didn't lose any MAGA. Imagine if Obama did that stuff. But imagine if Obama banned bump stocks or talked about taking away guns without due process. MAGA would have a hissy fit over that. But when Trump did it, okay, it is what it is. So MAGA's going to roll with Trump no matter what. Imagine if Obama went over to meet Kim Jong-un in North Korea or invited him to the White House or, was talking to Putin in secret closed-door meetings. They would have a hissy fit about that. But Trump, if he's friends with Putin or talking about we should be, improving relationships with Putin, MAGA's okay with that. If he suddenly says Putin is the worst dictator on earth, they're okay with that too. Traditional Republicans don't follow Trump like that. If he does something that goes against traditional conservative views, traditional Republicans, I'm talking about the Mitt Romneys, the Liz Cheneys, the ones that MAGA calls rhinos, they don't follow that. MAGA does. So you got MAGA, traditional Republicans, independents, and liberals. You could add progressives to that as well. But looking in the comments, he also said he can't guarantee grocery prices will go down after he said they would. Yeah, I think that Trump made some statements to get elected, which is what my last caller, was pointing out. Even MAGA points out some of this stuff, like giving police immunity, some of these things. I do believe Trump made some promises because he knew it would pander to certain audiences, which in my opinion was not necessary because they were going to vote for him anyway, the people that but the grocery prices compared to Biden promising to bring down grocery prices probably scored Trump a lot of votes. Hispanic voters, maybe some black voters, maybe some Democrats and independents went over to Trump because they thought prices for groceries under Biden were too high. And if this guy said he could bring them down, then I'm riding with him. But if you vote for me and you don't bring them down, then you'll figure that out. You're going to find out. Let me see in the comments before we continue on. Rhinos, nobody. I don't quite get what you're saying there, first watch. Going to the box. We tried it with Amps earlier. We'll go back to Amps. Good evening, Amps. Welcome to the program. Do you have the same take on, not my last caller, but my caller before last was favorable to Trump stating that he wanted to potentially acquire and take over Greenland and the Panama Canal. How do you view that?
Yeah, I don't know about the takeover of the land. You know, there's a lot of allegations out there. You know, we'll see what happens.
Why do you think he's saying it?
Well, I mean, we have certain rights probably. If we build it, you know, we have certain rights to it. I mean, if you build it, it's yours, right? No matter where it is.
You can't just build something on somebody's property and demand it's yours forever, can you? I mean, don't they have, they have rights to their own land.
We don't know all the speculation that happened back in the day. You know, what was the terms of us building it? I mean, we had it for a certain amount of time. I get that, but you know, maybe it needs renegotiated, or maybe Trump's, like you said, trying to negotiate that for our country to get certain rights to it. I mean, you got some good points.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jimmy Carter gave them their canal back in 1977. So, and no other president has ever talked about taking it back from them. I would be curious to know because Trump is saying that they're charging our ships too much. But I'd be curious to know, was there some kind of contract we made with the Panamanians rather, that limits how much that they can charge us for our ships to pass through? Because they do have to maintain that canal. They need money to maintain it, and they're saying that global climate change has made it so there's less water, and you need more water for bigger ships to come through. And climate change is messing with the mechanics of how the Panama Canal works. So they have a reason for why they're charging more. Now, Trump is saying that they're charging too much. But did the contract have some type of provision that said they can only charge us so much? I mean, we're talking about something that came about in the 1920s or whatever. I don't know how that would relate to today, where it would give us the right to take the thing back from them.
I don't know, bud. Hey, can I speak on something else, though? I hate to change the subject, but one of your last callers, I think it was your last one, Denkow, he was in your comments stating about the Colorado Venezuelans that took over the apartment complex.
What about it?
Well, he was saying it was false news. Well, if you read the AP, it says the police denied it.
Wait. Let me interrupt you. They're on video doing it. I think the difference is Trump and the Republicans made it sound like the Venezuelans or the MS-13 was taking over the whole damn city. In reality, it was one or two apartment buildings. It wasn't like the whole city. The right greatly exaggerated what was going on. But they're on video doing it.
Yeah, but it was 19 individuals with long rifles.
Yeah, but they didn't take over. They didn't take over the whole damn city like the right is making it sound.
Oh, no, they took over an apartment complex. Yeah. But it was first reported, and it was proven to be a fact. So Denkow doesn't have his, stuff straight there.
I'd be curious to see what Denkow. I would be curious to see exactly what he said, but because I know for a fact that it was covered on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, because they got into an argument about it where the right was saying it was like, they were taking over all the apartments in town. And no, it was one or two buildings they took over, which is one or two too many. I get that. But it's not the whole. It's kind of like Chaz in Seattle when you had Antifa and they made it sound like they took over the whole city of Seattle when it was really only a few blocks. So
it's like one of your last. Who was the other guy was in your box there earlier, the liberal. He was on your chat saying it's only been 5 people that these illegals have killed or whatever in America. And, one's too many. You were talking about the girl down in Georgia.
Lincoln Riley, yeah.
Lincoln Rally, which is one too many. But there's probably a lot that's been taken.
Yeah, but it's not like, once again, just like with the MS-13 deal and the Chaz deal. I think that oftentimes on subjects like this, to make a point, to get political score, the right will exaggerate when the truth is sufficient. I mean, just like there's not a whole lot of Lincoln rallies out there. Yeah, there are people being murdered by immigrants, but it's not like where Mexico's not sending us their best and brightest. They're only sending us rapists and murderers. If according to Trump, there's 18 million illegals in this country. Even if only 1% of them were murderers, there would be Lincoln rallies everywhere. So it's well under 1%. It's probably well under 0.001%. So,
but if you kept them all out of the country, though, how many less would be?
And that's what I'm saying, is that he's telling lies when the truth will do. Just simply say there Lincoln rallies one too many, and if we kick them all out of the country, there wouldn't be no Lincoln rally. You don't have to make it sound like everybody's getting raped and murdered all over the damn place. The truth is sufficient. He's lying when the truth will do.
Well, what we need to do is to start like he's going to do, is start with the criminals, kick them out, and make sure they don't come back.
Right. I think that if he, now keep in mind, he only gets 4 years in office. So right. if he starts with the criminals, in my opinion, when you think about all of the appeals process and the ACLU and all the fighting and all, that's probably all he's going to progress to. He's probably not going to get past criminals to then go to maybe just people who are hiding under the radar. It's probably not going to be a lot of them. I mean, it would be different if he had 8 years, but he has 4 years and he's going to have a hell of a lot of resistance. It's probably not going to get past the criminal stage.
Well, I hope he includes the DUIs and everything.
No, that's a criminal. That is a criminal.
What happened today, don't you, up there in New York City on the subway?
Yeah, the guy set somebody on fire. The guy from Guatemala or whatever.
Yeah. Illegal.
Yep.
Illegal. Yeah.
But once again, with that, the right is already salivating, trying to blame that poor victim's death on Biden. But there's no evidence to that. They know for a fact this guy snuck into the country during Trump's administration and he was deported. They don't know when he came back a second time. They're just assuming it happened under Biden. For all we know, that guy could have been in this country for several years already. We don't know when he came back in a second time, but they're blaming Biden for what happened and saying, well, his open borders is what let this guy in and led to this woman dying. They don't know that, though. I mean, we don't know that all the immigrants that are committing crimes came in under the Biden watch. We know a lot of them did, but people were coming in under Trump, too.
We're old enough to know that the frequency is happening more often.
True.
We're old enough to know that.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, this thing's happening more and more often. And if we, put our finger in the dike and stop it, it's going to get better, not worse. We know that.
Yeah, if you do it with criminals, though. But if you start, because keep in mind, a lot of this is going to require stuff like stop and frisk and going in people's houses and shit. There's going to be a lot of innocent Americans harmed by this.
Stop and frisk worked.
Huh?
Stop and frisk worked.
It didn't work for the innocent. Stop and frisk worked if you don't give a damn about the innocent people being violated. Then yeah, it works. It would be like saying taking away guns will reduce murders if I don't give a damn about people's Second Amendment rights being violated. Yeah, because stop and frisk is a violation of people's Fourth Amendment rights. Yeah, it'll definitely work if you don't give a damn about all those innocent people you're hurting.
Well, maybe that, needs to be rehashed, the stop and frisk.
And what about the innocent people?
Are you innocent if you're carrying a gun illegally?
No, what if you get stopped and frisked and you're not carrying a gun illegally?
Well, then you just let go, right?
And if I'm late to work and I get rolled up or docked pay, who gives me that back?
Maybe the police will give you a note.
At least you laughed. At least you did laugh after saying that bullshit. because keep in mind, you might be showing up to work to meet a client or something like that. They're not going to sit around and wait for you while the police is fucking with you. Maybe you're on your way to the airport to catch a flight or to catch a subway on the way to work. The train ain't going to wait for you while the police are going through your pockets. You're going to miss shit. Stuff is going to be, maybe you're going to pick your kids up from daycare. The daycare center ain't going to give you a discount because you're late. They're going to charge you extra money.
Yeah, but we're not as bad as what is down in the Caribbean, however you say it. If you get caught with a bullet in your luggage, you get what, 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, well, they don't want their kids going to school and not coming home.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying that we're not that bad.
No, but we are bad about kids going to school and not coming home, though.
Well, yeah, that's the mental ill problem. I think a lot of it started back, and I love Ronald Reagan, but isn't he the one that started doing away with the mental asylums and stuff like that?
Well, we are a capitalist country, and we don't like helping out the downtrodden. Paying for mental health, people go, well, I don't want my tax money going to that. Who's going to pay for it? I don't want to give somebody free mental health care if they're not trying to get their life together. I mean, that's just like with health care. We don't like taking care of other people. We call it free shit. We call it socialism. So, well, the end result is a hell of a lot of people with untreated mental health.
Yeah, but we'll subsidize Suboxone.
Huh?
But we'll subsidize Suboxone.
Who? Subsidize what?
Suboxone.
What is that?
That's what you take when you're trying to get off heroin. They give that to you.
Well, maybe you should. If you truly care about mental health, you should subsidize it, right?
Right. I don't disagree with that.
Well, that's the problem, though, is that there's too many people in this country that the minute you talk about helping somebody out, the first thing comes out of their mouth is who's going to pay for it. That's why we got rid of asylums and got rid of mental health treatments and things like that. We didn't want to spend the money. We weren't getting anything on it. We'll gladly open up another prison because we make money off of prisons. We don't make money off of insane asylums. So we got rid of them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
but hey, what there was something else I wanted to tell you. But the problem with the thing that happened today on the subway is that when Alvin Bragg went after Daniel Penny, we all know that Penny probably did the right thing, no matter if he went too far or not. He still initiated the right thing. But the problem with it now is you're going to have people pulling back from doing the right thing, but because of people like Alvin Bragg that's going to try to prosecute them when they know that those charges have never been brought forward.
I mean, I hear your point, but I don't like the constant attacks on Alvin Bragg. Prosecutors wrongfully charge people every damn day, and we don't give a damn about it. I mean, how many people get released? Generally, people of color get released from prison for crimes they didn't commit. Nobody goes after the prosecutor. All of a sudden, the prosecutor goes after Trump, and he becomes public enemy number one. There are bad prosecutors all over this country. I mean, people get charged for shit they didn't do all day, every day, and nobody cares about it. But because this guy went after Trump, he deserves all this recognition.
Well, we hold cops accountable nowadays for planting evidence and, coercing people and, doing bad things. They get fired nowadays because a lot of it's on video.
Yeah.
So I think we ought to handle the DAs, Fannie Willis, Alvin Bragg, people like that are doing this stuff they shouldn't be doing. So
I don't know. Like I said, with Alvin Bragg, okay, he went after Trump. And by the way, what he went after Trump for is, to me, what he did to Trump is essentially giving you a ticket for jaywalking. It's a bullshit ticket, but if you're jaywalking, it is a legit. What he went after Trump for, Trump actually did that. It's just that most people that do what Trump did get away with it. Just like what they did to Hunter Biden, lying on the gun application. They don't generally go after people for that. But he actually did commit the crime. So when Trump is going off on Alvin Bragg, Trump ain't innocent of that. He is not innocent of that. They just went after him for something that they don't generally enforce. But he did commit the violations that they went after him for. I don't know why Alvin Bragg is getting torn to pieces. Even with Daniel Penny, I'm in agreement with you. I probably would not have charged him. I do see him as trying to be a good Samaritan. Yeah, he likely went overboard and he cost the guy his life, but I do believe he was genuinely trying to do good. I don't think he was trying to murder somebody. But that don't mean I'm going to penalize Alvin Bragg for making a bad decision. Like I said, prosecutors make bad decisions all the time, and it's generally way worse than that. So I think that Alvin Bragg is also getting mistreated in this.
Well, maybe you ought to be knocked down a couple steps. You know, they do it in the military. You know, you mess up, take a couple stripes off.
Well, perhaps. I mean, but isn't he in? Is that not an elected position, or was he appointed?
That was just figuratively speaking.
Huh?
Look what they did. That was just figuratively speaking.
You're not talking like Luigi Maggione knocked off, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Well, look, I think what Alvin Bragg does, I think that's an elected position. If you think he's doing wrong, don't reelect him. I mean, just the way I look at it. But I do believe if Alvin Bragg had not went after Trump, nobody would give a damn about what he's doing in New York. People get wrongfully charged and overcharged for crimes all the damn time. You know, prosecutors have immunity for that reason.
Yeah, but it's kind of like what you're saying about the people that are telling Biden to give these pardons and all these clemencies. Someone's messing up. And maybe it might not be Biden, but you ought to hang the people accountable that are doing this, because you know they're doing this for one reason or another.
Yeah, but I think that what Biden is doing, even though I don't agree with him pardoning a judge that was sending kids to jail for cash, I think all is going to be forgotten the minute Trump starts pardoning January 6th participants. I think once Trump starts doing that, the right is going to lose the moral high ground. That's going to be it for that, because he's going to be pardoning a bunch of people, and the left are going to be putting those people on TV, showing what crimes they committed there that day, and that's going to be the end of that. But right now, Biden looks bad. I don't agree with his pardon.
Yeah, but I think Trump's only going to pardon the ones that had no violence involved in January 6th.
He thinks Ashley Babbitt was an innocent woman. So, what is no violence? I mean, she's climbing through a broken window.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about, putting charges against that guy who shot her. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have shot her.
What was it? I still never could get into. I never could understand it. What was he supposed to do? Why is she climbing through a broken window?
Why do cops carry two different weapons, one non-lethal and one lethal?
So he's going to use a non-lethal device on her when there are literally hundreds of people behind her that's going to come through the same window.
Hey, maybe it would. Who's to say what would have happened? And we're beyond that fact now. Who's to say? Look, he used a stun gun and she passed out, whatever. Got shocked.
If he stunned Ashley Babbitt or used a taser on Ashley Babbitt, people will be saying the same thing about that cop that they're saying now, is that he tased an innocent little woman that was unarmed and he didn't need to do that. They would be still going after that guy. No matter what he did, they would. They would.
Nah, I don't think so. Not a non-lethal way.
I'll just say this. If instead of the Capitol building, let's imagine BLM is protesting police brutality and they've taken over City Hall and they got the mayor inside of City Hall and they're breaking windows and busting their way in, and somebody's climbing over a broken window like Ashley Babbitt, but this time it's Queen Latifah or Serena Williams or somebody, and they get shot in the process. I guarantee MAGA would have a whole different opinion about that. It would suddenly be fuck around and find out, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You're literally busting your way through the building, and you're demanding leniency.
I don't think so. I'm MAGA, man. I still have questions about that. I'm straight up MAGA, man.
Okay. I got people that believe George Floyd died of a heart attack and fentanyl and shit. And you telling me you don't believe that?
There was that stuff in the system, man. Hey, I'm not saying the need wasn't a contributing factor. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
The need was a contributing factor.
You got the guy on video sitting on dude's body for 9 minutes with his hands in his pocket doing nothing. That's certainly a contributing factor.
Right. Yeah, I'm totally agreeing that, the knee was a contributing factor.
Okay. All right. I got to move it on there, Amps.
Where's he at though? Where's he at? He's in jail, right?
He's where he's right where he belongs. Yes.
That's it, bud.
Shit, Trump might pardon him. Trump may pardon him too, for all we know. I gotta move it on though.
All right, buddy.
Good talk. Thank you, Amps. Appreciate it. Moving on with the program, I do want to address a few super chats here. You're misinterpreting. He meant peaceful land sharing. That's what Ed G is referring to Trump about the acquisition of Panama and Greenland. He's not talking about conquering Greenland or taking over the Panama Canal. He's talking about peaceful land sharing. Yeah, that sounds like a love fest, a good day like January 6th. Ed says lease Panama sounds like how Russia leased Crimea. You're getting it, Ed. You're comical about it, but you're making points with that. That's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, we leasing it, all right. And they don't have the right to opt out. Dennis Calhoun says, ask him about how many unarmed blacks are killed by cops is too. That's a great point. An immigrant takes the life of an American. Well, one is too many. That's a great point. That when the police are caught committing some type of heinous act, that whole "one is too many" phrase never comes up. In fact, when the police mistreat a person of color, you hear about 99% of police are good. For some reason, when a bad guy like immigrants or an African American does something wrong, or a person of color does something wrong, it's generally exaggerated to make it sound like the whole group is capable of doing wrong or capable of doing bad. But when the police does something wrong, it's suddenly shrunk down, and folks focus on, well, actually 99% of them are good and they just want to go home to their families. It is interesting how there is a difference in how that's played out. That is certainly true. You look at any video of, let's say a bunch of black kids run into a CVS and they're robbing everything off the shelves and taking shit. Look at the comment section. They're animals. This is why society, it's just all negative, but it's not just about the kids you're looking at. It's generally comments made to blow up to look like the entire race of people are bad. But then when the cops do something wrong, 99% of the guys are not like him. All cops ain't bad. That's a good point, Dennis. It is like that. People pick and choose where they want to blow up shit and shrink it down. Ed says the left does that. Look, the left does that too. If the GOP passes a thing, now I'm assuming you're talking about the LGBTQ that's not favorable to them, they yell it's trans genocide going on. Just say it's unfair. The truth is sufficient. That is a good point. If something is done that is anti-LGBTQ, people start saying it's homophobia. Sometimes it is, but not all the time. I 70% agree with you that it is blown up in that same manner. I say 70%. Because I do think there's a hell of a lot of homophobia out there, though. I do believe that a lot of particularly towards trans, I think most of that stuff is rooted in homophobia or transphobia, if they want to say. People are, I don't have any issue with them. I just don't want to shove down my kid's throat, or I don't want to, Yeah, but then when you're shooting cans of Bud Light, because that's an adult beverage. The kids ain't got shit to do with that. And folks had just as much of a problem with Bud Light working with a transgender person as they do some school talking about it. So there was no difference at all between anything in a school and an adult beverage. So yeah, some of that is transphobia. It's just people don't want to admit that. Ed says Tim's adorable. He thinks either side has morals. Damn, Ed, that's frightening. Notice they never apologize or explain their side. They both always have a whataboutism response. That's not true. When Biden referred to MAGA as garbage, Kamala Harris immediately apologized. So when you say that the left never apologized, Kamala Harris immediately apologized and tried to distance herself from that comment. Immediately. So yeah, I disagree with you suggesting that that the left don't apologize. Hell, they were apologizing to sympathizers of Hamas during the election. The left, I would say under Trump, you don't get any apology. You don't get any apologies. But the left, yeah, that's the problem with the left, some might say, is that they try to pander to too many different types of communities. Yeah, they apologize for police brutality and misconduct and racism. The left is apologizing for all of that shit. They're apologizing to feminists during the Me Too movement. The left does a lot of apologizing. The right is like, you can get with us and fuck you. So I disagree with that a little bit. Wanted to go back to the box, but real quick, Will G says, I'm about to put the spectacles on here. Wait, Tim, you just said Trump can look like he is lowering prices with a can of beans. With a can of beans, promise kept, but when Biden rolled out with student loans, you didn't get yours forgiven and he didn't keep his. Well, you raise a good point, but what I simply said is that Trump will roll out, even if Trump only meets 10% of his promise, he'll roll that 10%, the 10% of people that benefited for what he promised. Let's say he promises to, like I said, bring down the price of groceries. But at the end of the day, only thing he brings down is maybe the cost of frozen goods. Everything else remains sky high. Every rally he has, he'll have people talking about how cheap Swanson pot pies are or how cheap frozen corn. I mean, he will parade to the point where you'll think he's successful everywhere. Biden didn't do that. That's why I'm saying that, Will, you make a point, but what I'm saying is Biden reduced hundreds of folks' student loan debt. There was a lot of people who had their student loan debt forgiven. I didn't get mine forgiven, but I know somebody who did. Biden should have had those people appearing at rallies, appearing on stage, appearing in campaign ads and things like that. He didn't do it. Trump would have did that. So you would have thought in Trump's case, yeah, he didn't forgive me, but most of the people did get through. Because that's the way he would have made it look. Biden is not good at that. But your point is well taken of how you're saying I was hypocritical. I'll give you somewhat of a point on that, but I do believe not talking to the people, lack of transparency is one of the biggest detriments to President Biden. I also wanted to, before I continue on, Trump is already talking like a colonizer, authoritarian, trying to make war with Mexico, taking Canada, Greenland, and Panama Canal. MAGA says he wouldn't do any of that. What if he actually did? 100% agree with that. He is talking like that. I mentioned earlier, folks don't like it when people suggest that Trump is acting like the mustache man. This is some of the shit he was talking. This is some of the shit Mustache Man was talking about at the beginning stages of his administration in the 1930s. He started suddenly finding issues with all of these countries, and then he ultimately started taking them over. I mean, this does have some similarities to that. He is sounding authoritarian, like doing all of that stuff. Talking about making Canada a 51st state. He's referred to going into Mexico and treating the cartel as terrorists. All of this stuff requires the military. So that's like 4 countries: Canada, Mexico, Panama, Greenland. And then, of course, I'm assuming he's going to back Israel, who's attacking about 6 or 7 countries themselves. I mean, it is sounding like that. It is starting to sound like that. He's coming up with drama with way too many countries at once. Somebody mentioned this earlier in the live stream. He said, don't spread yourself too thin. That's kind of what the Mustache Man did. So I'm not trying to say he's that guy, but he is talking like him. He is talking like him. He's suddenly finding all kinds of problems with a whole bunch of countries. Can't type cuss words in the super chat. That's why it really, they stop you from typing that? Well, like I said, I don't block, ban, or censor. So if I see you, when I see people making abbreviations for swear words other than racial epithets and things that's going to get me banned, I usually read it that way. If you type MF, you're going to hear me say motherfucker. I know what you're saying. So I usually will uncensor. So I thought people were being kind to me and was trying to censor their words. I uncensor them anyway. I don't believe in censorship. I believe in free speech. So you'll hear me, if somebody puts in ish, I'm going to say shit. MF, I'm going to say motherfucker. That's what I thought. That's what I'm reading. The Capitol the Capitol built the Capitol cop was literally the one line between the rioters and legislative businesses and legislators. Yeah, I'm not gonna, in regards to the Ashley Babbitt thing, her saving grace is she's MAGA. That's the only reason why she's getting defended. She's MAGA. I mean, yeah, you don't expect a police officer to stand down when somebody's doing what Ashley Babbitt did. Well, he could have used this, so he could have used. She got a crowd that's 1,000 strong behind her. What are you gonna do? Tase her and then you pulling out the barbs and they just beating the shit out of you while you. What is he gonna do? Handcuff her in front of that crowd? Chances are, his shooting of Ashley Babbitt is the only thing that stopped other people from coming through that window. If he had to use any form of lesser force, there would have probably been more people climbing through that window. But when Ashley Babbitt showed that if you come through here, you're gonna end up bleeding like me. All right, I don't want to bleed, so I'm gonna leave it alone. So yeah, the whole deal that the cop was expected to know she was unarmed, as if he could see through her clothes and in her pockets and make sure she had no ankle holster. He could just tell she was. That's crazy. Just a little unarmed woman. How the hell he know that? Does he know she doesn't have a pistol in the small of her waist? How the hell does he know she's unarmed? He's supposed to just let her climb through and be in the same room with him and then hope that all of this stuff is accurate? If he was standing there with them folks cowering behind him and he let her come in the room and she pulled out a pistol from somewhere on her body and started popping and hit one of them, they would probably have a pretty good lawsuit against the Capitol Police. That's not doing your job. You just let this woman climb in here like that? Well, I didn't know if she was armed or not. Yeah, that's crazy. Only reason why anybody would suggest he should have stood down is because they favor MAGA. That's insane. Everybody else would say fuck around and find out or play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She did that. She died in the process. Continuing on before I just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. And thank you folks that are supporting. What it says, Tim's adorable. He thinks, I saw that he has, both. You said neither side has morals, huh, Ed? Wow. All right, let me go back to the box. Oh, he knew damn good and well she wasn't armed. She was protecting the cops on the other side. Have you seen the video of that shit? I've showed the video of that whole Capitol thing 100 times over. People were right before she climbs to a broken window. Other people smashed that window out. So it's not like you are focused on Ashley Babbitt when everybody around is busting windows and shit out. So you're talking about, well, Ashley Babbitt was protecting. He ain't paying attention to that. He paying attention to the people who are breaking in. The windows are being smashed in where he's located. And then all of a sudden, the minute the window smashed out, she comes climbing over. He ain't been paying attention to what she was doing before that. We expecting the cop to be Superman just to save this woman's life who clearly don't give a damn about her own safety. That ain't gonna happen. Let me go, either she has it or wasn't, or just, Ashley caused her own death, if you ask me. That's as simple as that. She caused her own death. Alan Quinn, she didn't have to do what she was doing. And what she was doing was illegal as fuck. Alan, good evening.
Tim, this white fragility is ridiculous. It amazes me how the reasons you just listed, those are the excuses that they use to justify killing us.
Right.
It's okay for them to make the assumption and put us down. But when it happens to one of them, she was defending cops. No, she wasn't. She was acting like a criminal. Yeah. She got treated like a criminal.
I don't have any, like I said, I mean, I've shown the video a million times over, but the guys on that video are smashing out windows and shit like that. And in the minute the window is smashed, Ashley comes climbing through. What is the guy supposed to do? And the notion that she's unarmed, how do you fucking know that? She ain't been patted down. She ain't been searched. How do you know she's not armed?
I want this Anita Simmons. Let me come crawling through your window and let me see if you just allow it. Oh, yeah. I should give you a warning. No, she's going to pull out a weapon and put me down. Yeah. Period. So stop with the... It's so infuriating because they insult our intelligence. And that's the part that's so irritating.
Yeah.
Just own that hey, you know what? When it's your side, you'll excuse it.
Yeah, and I see Edgy and says Edgy says even as MAGA myself, you guys not need to stop defending her. Fuck around and find out. Yeah, I don't understand it. I've said this a million times on the program. I don't give a damn if somebody is robbing a liquor store or it's a cop wearing a badge. If somebody is pointing a gun at you and yelling instructions and you don't follow those instructions, you increase your chances of getting shot. Period. Anybody.
Is that not what they said about Tamir Rice?
Yep.
And he was a kid.
Yep.
And he was a kid.
Yep.
I've had to tell my son, hey, you know what? Listen, you get pulled over, your first responsibility is to get home to me and your mother. Period, point blank. You call us on the phone. You tell that cop, hey, guess what? My parents are on the phone. You make sure he knows we're on the phone. When I was responsible for other people's kids as a coach, I told every one of my athletes who looked like me, hey, your first responsibility is to get home.
Yeah.
You call us. You get us on the phone. So all these, this is the crap that they don't realize we have to go through, that we have to explain to our kids. Get home.
Yeah, I just, to me, like I said, her only saving grace is that she's MAGA. Because like I said, if City Hall was being taken over and Queen Latifah went climbing through a window like that and got shot, nobody would give a damn about her. I mean, that would be it. She fucked around and found out.
And but it's just the fact that, and I know most of the audience here they're pretty decent people, but it's when you can't be intellectually honest about a topic that's real to us. I have an 18-year-old son. This is a reality for me.
Yeah.
So stop with all this. Stop making it this bullshit that y'all think is some type of illusion. You excuse white women for doing certain things. Emmett Till lost his life behind some white woman saying something. Black Wall Street got bombed because some white woman said something. So how about y'all just really own your bullshit? Own it.
Well, they're going to but they are going to bring up Jesse Smollett, who tried to lie and have white people arrested. Or they're going to bring up the Duke Lacrosse case where that woman tried to have them folks thrown in jail for rape.
And you know what? And here's the thing. They are both of them in jail, period. No
excuses. Jesse Smollett.
I'm saying they should be.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying they should be, period.
Well, Jesse Smollett case, it's hard to throw him in jail because there really was no direct victim. I mean, he just said some white people attacked me,
he lost his career behind it.
Yeah, he paid a price for it. He definitely.
And I'm saying, call balls and strikes on it.
Yeah.
Call balls and strikes. That's just like I said, same shit. You sit up here, there are 3 federal charges and 3 state charges and 1 congressional charge for Matt Gaetz. But you got all these white women on here. No, we defend him.
I haven't talked to any women. Well, I think Margaret Taylor Greene.
They're referring him for charges. But you got all these white women on here defending him. But if it's their kid, would they sit up here? If somebody was even accused or suspected of touching a kid, underage, doing anything with them, and they were to go and say, hey, let me be around your child. These white women know they wouldn't sit up here and let them.
Are they trying to have Matt Gaetz? Are they trying to have Matt Gaetz criminally charged?
Yes. They're referring him over to Florida for it. It's in the Dacom report.
Man, Trump really fucked him up by appointing him as attorney general because that stuff would have never came out. The minute Trump appointed him, he should have been like, dude, I can't, I got too many skeletons in the closet. But I guess he thought Trump was going to get him out of it.
Let me tell you something. Anita, we can get on this and we can go back and forth. I don't even care. It don't even make me no difference. We can go at it. But I'm telling you.
Hang on a second. Anita, for shits and giggles, if you're civilized, I'll bring you up and you can talk directly to him.
I'm with it.
Put your request in the box. Anita, put your request in the box. I'll give you a few minutes. Keep it civil, of course. State your case. I don't block, ban, or censor, but keep it civil. I'll put you on with him.
With the smoke. Like, don't. This is a real issue for us, Tim.
Yeah.
And they want to sit up here and play this like it's it's not a joke.
No.
And me being I told you this before. Me being trained in the military, we no matter what branch you do hand to hand. That man knew he held him down for 6 minutes.
You talking about Daniel Penny? You talking about Daniel Penny?
Yeah,
He knew he had a choice.
Well, you and I get what you're saying, but you and I kind of disagree on that. I wouldn't. You would have threw that guy. You would have gave him a manslaughter charge. You would have threw him in prison.
I would have set up here at a minimum. He would have been negligent. What was it?
Negligent homicide. He was facing 4 years for that. 15 for the manslaughter. You say negligent homicide, 4 years.
Exactly. Because here's the deal. I get you were doing something to defend. You thought you were defending people, but at the end of the day, somebody's dead and somebody's accountable. Somebody's responsible. And there's a limit. You were trained by the United States military, the greatest fighting force on this planet.
Okay, how about this thing? Okay, because, generally when this stuff happens, you got the prosecutor and you got the defense attorney, and they're kind of making a deal. Defense attorney is going to push back, trying to get his client off. Okay, so I'm hearing you're taking the role of the prosecutor here, and I'm taking the role, I'm defending Penny. Okay, so my thing, you're saying negligent homicide, max 4 years. How about a year? And it doesn't stay on his record when he gets out. Okay, so he serves a little time for making a mistake.
I give him 2 in. I give him 2. You can have 2 in, 2 on paper. No, you give me 2 in, 6 on paper. That's 8 total.
6 years?
Yes. But here's the thing. And the reason why, bro, you in the military, bro, you knew.
He has no priors, though.
He held him for 6 minutes.
Okay, we're not arguing with the fact that he took the man's life, but we also do not believe it was intentional. 6 years, this guy's not going to be able to get a job or anything with this on him for 6 years.
Okay, how about this? 3 in, 1 out on paper, and we'll exonerate him after 2 other ones.
So he does 3 in is a long time, though. I mean, because prison.
Come on, Tim. You got to get some.
I've had clients go in and never come out the same. I mean, he's already been in a war. He's a decorated. I mean, he's a Marine rather. He's already
Tim, the least I'm gonna give you is 2.5.
2.5. But I want him off paper. I want him off paper as quick as possible. 12 months max on paper. Once he's out, I want this off.
You gotta pay restitution. All right, but we'll set the max restitution then.
How much you expect him to pay? This guy's gonna be.
Hey man, come on, Tim. I'm giving you. Look, man, you got to meet me somewhere in the middle.
I am meeting you somewhere. I could go talk to the Republicans and damn near get this guy pardoned. So I am meeting you somewhere. I'll give you 2.5 years. You're really pushing me. Okay, if I could talk to my client and get him to agree to 2.5 years, I want a year on paper, and once he's done his paper. Minimum restitution. I don't want you taking a bunch of money from this guy, making it so he can't live his life.
How about this? We won't hit him for the max restitution. We'll hit him in the middle.
10% garnishment of his wages max, no matter what he's earning. I don't want you taking all his money so he can't survive.
15%, and it goes directly to the family.
15%, he has to be earning at least $60,000 a year.
50,000. That's average American.
12.5%.
13, and you got a deal.
I gotta talk to my client. I think that's fair though. he gets his life back. The liberals get a little bit of revenge. It'll satisfy the Negroes, I guess. But my client, I'll talk to my client. I think we can make that work.
I think you and I have just solved the whole problem. See how we get that?
We don't lose any cities in the process. We don't have to sit up there and talk to Al Sharpton all day.
Everybody got something. Everybody lost something.
Yeah. This is how negotiation is done. This is how it's done.
And that's what they need to understand. Right now, the community feels like we didn't get anything out of this.
Yeah. That's unfortunate because they don't negotiate like that. I think that his prosecutors felt they had a legitimate amount of support for Daniel Penny and he was unlikely to get convicted. Turns out they were right. So they didn't have to negotiate.
Hey, you know what, Anita, don't stay in the comments and ask what Democrats have done for the black community. Get up here and ask me.
I can tell you one thing, with Biden pardoning every damn body, he's doing a hell of a lot for black people because most of them people probably are fucking black. I can tell you that. Hey, by the time Biden is done, you're going to probably have every weed smoker in that has been locked up pardoned. Biden going to walk away saying, I did a lot for African Americans. I bet you. It ain't over yet.
Well, here's the thing, Tim. Whether she wants to sit up here and ask, what have Democrats done? I can tell you this. I know for a fact that Obama gave more than what 45 gave, because 45 cut what Obama gave, and then Obama gave 7 times on top of what 45 gave. So when she asked, what have they done? When you see all these black graduates that are coming out of these HBCUs, and they're engineers and they're doctors and lawyers, that's what they've done.
Yeah. I think, in my opinion, I really, in reality, I think just about any white guy that's Biden's age probably got a little bit of racism in him, just like any guy that's my age got a little bit of homophobia, because that's what we grew up with. But I do believe that Biden, on his way out, is trying to make amends. He's obviously a devoted Catholic. He's expecting to have a good standing at the pearly gates. I think he is trying to make amends with maybe some of his past. I expect him to pardon more people. He's appointed a bunch of black folks. You got folks that are on the Supreme Court due to him. He tried to make the first black woman president. He's responsible for the first black male president. I think that guy, you talking about doing for black people, I think he's doing it because he got some kind of mission that he's on.
Yep.
I really believe
let me
that.
tell you something, Tim. I asked this question in an earlier live. I asked a black Republican, name me the black Republicans that the RNC funded or have developed and cultivated and brought up. I only heard 2 names.
Tim Scott in there?
Tim Scott is one. Who's the other one?
Okay. Who is the guy who talked? No, that wouldn't be him. I was about to say the guy who said he was a black Nazi and he wished slavery could come down.
They did fund him, though.
Oh, they did? Okay, that's another one. Who?
Yeah, but the guy out of Florida, Donaldson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you know what they haven't done? They ain't put no more up. They ain't funding any more. I'm waiting for some of them to sit up here and say, yeah, these are the black Republicans that we're developing this new crop of young black politicians within the Republican Party. They're conservatives. I ain't seen none.
Well,
but they want to ask. But they want to ask what the Democrats have done. Democrats put up a lot of black candidates.
Yeah. There's, when Trump said he's done more for African Americans than anybody since Abraham Lincoln, you had a lot of folks on the right echoing that, and I'm like, based on what? I never could understand how he got away with that. But I had a lot of MAGA that truly believes that.
I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you something, Tim, and I know Anita doesn't know this, but when you look back and you look at the name J.C. Watts, he was an OU football player. He's a quarterback. He was a stud quarterback. He's got a son-in-law who's in the FBI. And J.C. Watts was on a fast track within the Republican Party. He was a senator from Oklahoma.
What happened?
And we're talking about a black man. And when they started talking about him possibly for VP or possibly even president, he's a black man. You know what they did? Cut the funding. He's back in Eufaula, Oklahoma.
So you were essentially trying to say that the RNC is racist.
The RNC will let a black man rise, but so far, as soon as he starts, why couldn't Tim Scott get the nomination? Why couldn't Tim Scott be the VP?
Well, but I don't want to attribute that to racism. There were like 9 other candidates running. They were all white. Trump was going to get that VP.
Let's look at who was. This is going to sound crazy.
Trump was going to get that nomination.
Out of all the possible candidates to be the VP, why wouldn't Tim Scott a better candidate than J.D. Vance?
I think J.D. Vance is promoting some of the right. Well, J.D. Vance comes with the huge evangelical base. I don't know who does Tim Scott really bring. He ain't gonna bring no black people to the Republican Party. I don't know how Tim Scott would help Trump out.
Tim Scott, but why wouldn't you want to sit up here if he's so non-racist and he's not a DEI? He opened up opportunity zones and all of this. Why wouldn't he be the guy?
Because he doesn't bring any additional support to Trump. I mean, what is Tim Scott's base? It's MAGA, and that's only because Trump likes him. He could turn Tim Scott out like that. I think that he could turn any of them out like that, to be honest. But I think J.D. Vance does bring the evangelical base. He strengthens that. I don't know what Tim Scott would do to help Trump out, because like I said, Tim Scott ain't bringing no minorities with him at all. Minorities ain't got no love for Tim Scott at all. So I don't know who putting Tim Scott on as a VP. He would be like a Mike Pence, just somebody there you could roll over. I mean, he's just a face. And because Trump is damn near 80, you're right. It could be a potential of a black man becoming the first Republican president. So there may be some people who don't necessarily favor that, but
all I'm saying is when we get to talking about these issues, you can't run from. You can't run. I just like tying it all together. When you look at a veteran deciding I'm going to participate in an insurrection and go through a window and get shot by a black cop, and you got white America trying to justify it. You get a white veteran killing a mentally ill black man, and then you got a guy who's running for office who decides, hey, you all can have your black jobs, but the only black job you'll ever have in my cabinet is as the director of HUD.
He does like appointing Negroes for HUD.
I'm just saying, Tim. Don't. Here's my thing. I would be so okay with any YT person coming to me and saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't like black people." Period.
You want it to be out in the open.
Yes, if you tell me, hey, I think you're and that's all you're ever going to be, that's fine. I can deal with that. I will respect.
Well, the problem is because it is so unpopular to say you hate somebody simply because of their God-given skin color. Most people throughout history, most people that are, I'm just going to say racist. I don't want to trigger the sick, but most people that are like that, it's like Fight Club. You don't talk about it. Most people that's why they wear hoods and people. Most people who are like that don't admit it. They come up with another reason for why they feel the way they are to give you plausible deniability. Like, for instance, if you look throughout history, there's no denying we had some racist politicians, 50s, 1940s. We know they existed. Right. Try finding a quote from an American politician that where he flat out came out and said, I don't like people of color. They don't admit it. They'll come up with, well, right. I think they're this, or I think they're that.
It's the gaslighting. Because then when we tell other people, they make it seem like we're crazy. There's no way somebody didn't hire you because you're black. Yeah. It's like, I'm not crazy. Like, have you lost your damn mind? 2 plus 2 is 4.
Well, I got to move it on, but I'll explain on the other side why people, denounce. It's been doing this since the beginning of the time, but why they denounce black racism, blacks claiming racism.
I served this country, and I fought for everybody's right to say what they want to say. Period. I would defend and die for a Klansman to have the right to say what the hell he wants to say and where he wants to say it in this country. I have no problem with that. Now, I might punch him in the mouth afterwards, but I'll stand for it, and I'm willing to die for his right to be able to do it. The thing is, they're too cowardly to just say it. Wow. We would respect them if they did.
Well, they don't. Getting punched in the mouth ain't the respect I want to get. That's why they ain't said it. I gotta move it on, Alan, but that ain't what they want.
I didn't say there wouldn't be a consequence.
Exactly, my point exactly. Free speech does have consequences. Alan, thanks for coming through.
Love the show, Tim.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I will say, he's right. Before I continue on, tap the screen. Get us up to about 50,000 likes. Merry Christmas Eve to you folks. We're only about an hour and a half from Christmas Eve, so thank you folks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys are all having a nice holiday and not going to have to work at least until Thursday. So I'm gonna try. We may have at least a Christmas Eve show. I don't know if any of you guys will tune in on Christmas. So I thought about it. I don't know. Looking in the comments real quick, if the roles were reversed, it would be automatically negligent homicide, plus the book would be thrown at him. So you're saying that if Daniel Penny was a black guy and Jordan Neely was white, criminal charges would have went through. I can't speak on it because we don't know, but I will say that if you are an African American and you take the life of a white person, yeah, there is a greater likelihood, a higher statistical probability that you'll face criminal punishment versus being a white person taking the life of a black man. Our criminal justice system is just that way. It's always been that way. It's getting better, but it does have more pitfalls for people of color. I know people are going to deny it, and I'm going to talk before I go to the box again. I'm going to talk about why the denial takes place, which is what my last caller was talking about. Will G says Trump is going to give MAGA a golden shower instead of a gold age. Will, Jesus Christ, Will. Oh my God. Trump's too old to be giving out golden showers. I know there is allegedly a PP tape out there, but Trump's too old for that now. As MAGA, okay, I saw that, Ed G. Okay, so, and thank you folks that are smashing that like button on YouTube as well. I do appreciate you folks. Smash the like button. It helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. You know what I always say on the program? We are, always will be MAGA friendly. I can't even put this one on anymore. It's so flat, but we are, always will be MAGA friendly. By the way, this is the 2020, the failed campaign hat. Keep America great. He failed at that one, but he'll be making it great again, I suppose. But why have blacks always had their claims denied? Fact is, we're constantly telling the world we're the freest country on earth. You know, everybody wants to come live in America. We're the best place to be. We're always talking about how America is the supreme top of the food chart in terms of nations on earth. If you had to admit that people are deliberately being mistreated simply because of the color of their skin, it would go totally against the claim that everybody's free and how great the country is. So in America, and that's been that way. I don't care if you're talking about it in 2024 or 1924. So as a result, because we want to portray America as an exceptional country, any admission of actual intolerance or racism will always be an admission of something that happened in the past. We will never actively admit current racism. That's just the way it is. Like I give you a perfect example. Everyone will totally admit that America was pretty damn racist in the 1950s in the Martin Luther King era. But when that was actually happening, they weren't admitting it. They were telling Martin Luther King, you know, things were going great with these people until you came in this town and started stirring up trouble. Same thing in the 90s when Joe Biden was allegedly passing a crime bill, for instance. Blacks were complaining about racism in the 90s as well. They were telling blacks this is not happening. But now in 2024, in effort to shame Biden, they'll readily admit you had a really racist senator passing laws. His name was Joe Biden. But when he was actually doing it, well, racism ended hundreds of years ago. So the fact is, we do admit racism in this country. But because we want to portray ourselves as an exceptional country that is always the freest on earth, we can only admit racism in the past. We can never admit it's happening now because that goes against all of the exceptional shit we're claiming that America is. I would submit to you that 10, 15, 20 years from now, people would probably look back at the killing of George Floyd in the summer of 2020 and openly admit, yeah, there was some racism going on. But you can't do it right now because it goes against us being the freest country on earth. But when you look back at it and you look at all of those folks that were losing their lives, the Breonna Taylors and all of them folks, all of the Say Her Name clan, all of them names that only span, it's only about 5 or 6 years, maybe 10 years at most between all of those controversial killings. All of them Say Her Names, that whole list of people, maybe a max of 10 years apart. All of them people died. 10, 15, 20 years from now, yeah, the police are racist as hell back in the late 2020s. But they can't admit that now because it goes against the exceptionalism that we are. So I do believe that is the reason why outcries in regards to racism are always met with resistance, because it would destroy the fabric of the country to come out and admit, yeah, we're mistreating people. So you have to always make it sound like we got over that. Yeah, we were like that. All countries are kind of like that. Every country has a history of that, but we got past it. And then every new generation looks back and say, well, yeah, the last generation still had some of it. Anyhow, continuing on with the program. Thank you folks for tapping the screen. Current racism, are you kidding me? We voted Barack Obama as president twice. There is no institutional racism in our country. Okay, if you want to suggest that. Like I said, I can guarantee you, in the 1990s, when Biden was passing the crime bill, there were no shortage of Americans who would have said the exact same thing you're saying now. Maybe they would have pointed to Colin Powell being voted in as general or Condoleezza Rice or something. They would have found a different reason to say it, but they would have said the same thing you're saying now when Biden was passing the crime bill, which the same folks now open out and about admit it was racist. They would have said the same thing you're saying now. There's no institutional racism, any of that. Like I said, it can only work if it's in the past. It has to be in the past. Looking in the comments, they need they need closet racism, because if we pointed them out, they wouldn't make as much money off of us because we simply wouldn't buy from them or be near. There's definitely some validity to that. All right, look, going back to the box. Thank you, folks. Tap the screen. Can we get up to 55? Is that asking too much of this audience? 55K? Smash that like button. By the way, on TikTok, feel free to share the live. I don't normally ask that, but sometimes it helps out with the algorithm. So feel free to share the live as well. I'm talking about the President of the United States of America voting in 2 terms. There is no racism in our country. You got white people that are saying the country is racist, and you got 40-something presidents that were white, and you got white people saying it. What are you talking about? One dude making it through don't mean that the whole thing is over with. You had black congressmen, black mayors in the country forever. I mean, so the minute Chicago or the minute Birmingham got a black mayor, that means there's no racism in Birmingham? What? One dude getting through don't mean that this ends. I like how you're trying to word that, but it takes institutional racism doesn't necessarily have anything to do with a president getting elected. And some might suggest that voting in Obama twice is what got you Trump. I'll continue on with the program. I like it though. I like the effort he made there. Love to Cruise. Good evening. Welcome to the program. We are on the Handsome Liberal TikTok. That's where the callers are coming from if you're on YouTube. By the way, folks, feel free to follow the program subscription, if you will, on YouTube. We're here Monday through Friday. Love to Cruise. Good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. So Trump has been flirting with the idea of taking over Greenland and the Panama Canal. Good for America? What say you?
And as usual, Trump is going to say something and throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Now, what is the benefit of taking over Greenland or the Panama Canal?
Power and money. Power and money. There's a lot of benefits to it. Money and power.
Well, who's going to get the money?
Well, if we take over a country, all of the resources of that country, and there are a lot of resources in Greenland, that becomes under our control. Plus, we now get, a military stronghold that's hovering right around Europe and Russia, closer to China. There's a lot of benefits to owning Greenland.
Once again, I'm going to ask you, are you going to mention trickle down economics? We're not at the bottom. We're not going to see any of this benefit if you take over Panama Canal. I think we would see. I mean, we wouldn't see anywhere near as much as the oligarchs of America. Oh, but Tim, don't be so naive.
I'm trying.
It stops at one point and it doesn't trickle down anymore. We're not going to see any of that. If they take it over, it's for their benefit. It isn't for us.
Yeah, but even if it's for their benefit, there are going to be jobs and things that are created that there will be other opportunities for the average everyday American. There will be benefits for you. Won't be anywhere near to their level, but there will be benefits if America becomes a stronger, more powerful nation, the average American will benefit in some way. Or just think about it this way. The poorest American is considerably better off than the poorest person in most other countries. That's because some of that wealth does trickle down. It's not much, but it does trickle down.
Oh, I agree with you 100% on that. We're fortunate. We are in the United States and we live a lot better than a lot of countries. But we also have a problem where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And with moves like that, we need to take care of right here first.
No benefit to
that.
that.
Get all of us up to speed.
No benefit to that.
And then go ahead.
Yeah. I agree with you, and Trump has talked about taking care of Americans first, but that's not going to happen because the haves don't like just giving their money away to the have-nots. The haves don't like to spend money unless there is something at the back end that they will benefit from, which is why they would rather send money to the Ukraine or Israel because they get weapons contracts and shit like that, as opposed to just helping out an American or giving an American health care. They don't want to help people out unless there's something to benefit them. Helping out struggling Americans does not come with a benefit to the haves. That's why there's no interest in doing it.
There's no interest in we're doing our usual, taking over something that doesn't belong to us,
yeah,
and then claiming it. That's what we're notorious for doing.
Yeah, that's the American way.
No, it ain't the American way.
It is the American way. You may not like it, but that is how we made this great nation. I got a guest in the box right now, Arson, that lives in Hawaii, that says they don't even like us because we annexed that state. Trump's talking about making Canada the 51st state. You see what we did to Puerto Rico? That is the American way, is taking over places.
That's Mega's way.
No, that's American. I don't look. I'm willing to criticize MAGA where criticism is due, but that's not MAGA. That was happening before Trump was born.
If you ask the average person, besides MAGA, are they interested in doing that? They're going to tell you no.
Maybe.
There's no. What's the benefit to us? Once again, there is no. But you say strategic. I understand that.
Maybe you own a company, or maybe you have stock that in a company that mines some of the resources that are in Greenland, and you will benefit from that. I mean, I don't care if it's just part of your 401k. You might not have a lot, but let's say, for instance, they got gold ore or some type of resource over there. If America acquires that country, those resources are going to be mined. And it may be part of your retirement portfolio. People will benefit if we take over Greenland.
With the tariffs, we have enough natural resources here where we don't need anybody else.
But you do know how greed works, right?
Do know how what?
You do know how greed. You're talking about we don't need it. You know how greed works, right? Greed ain't about what you need; it's about what you want.
And greed works for the person they're taking it over. It doesn't trickle down. And if Trump is doing it, if he's taking over the Panama Canal and they're doing it for, I don't know, for the money for the shipping, we're not going to see that. His pockets are going to get fat.
And see, that's where I disagree with you. You're going to see, you won't, of course, his pockets are going to get way fatter than the pockets of you and I, but there will be some trickle-down effect. Like I said, people got retirement. The average everyday American has retirement portfolios in energy companies and resources. You may only have a tiny, fickle amount of it, but if we start acquiring these countries, you're going to get fickle return on these acquisitions. You're going to see some benefits of it.
Like a stimulus check, huh? That's what we're going to get.
Whatever the case may be.
I'm just not for it.
Okay, that makes more sense. But I do believe that if we go on a land grab, the average American will benefit, even if it's only in a small way. Obviously, you may think the extra few bucks you get is not worth, the immoral acts of taking over people's countries. I get that, but financially, I think there will be a slight benefit for Americans.
It's going to be financial for President Musk and people of his caliber.
President Musk? I think you got the title wrong. You sure did you say that right? President Musk?
President Musk. You're right. What they call him? Elect president in waiting or whatever.
Well,
yeah, him.
What about the notion that due to our laws, he cannot be president?
When did they ever pay attention to the laws? They make them.
What do you think? What are you saying? That MAGA's just a law? Just a criminal party or something?
I think they can control the laws. If we're going by the laws, how does a felon become vice president?
It was a witch hunt.
34 of them.
Well, I don't look in regards to. I do believe that if Trump wasn't Trump, he wouldn't have those 34 felonies. If Trump was, just any typical New York businessman, I don't think they would have charged him. I do believe that his attitude, his bullying, him making enemies has a lot to do with why he got charged. If he was just a regular businessman, Kevin O'Leary has said that on Fox. I believe that. If he was a regular dude, he wouldn't have got charged with all that stuff.
Okay, we can go there. But the fact is that he did get charged, and
True.
he was found guilty.
That is true.
Okay, what about the part about groping women? He was charged with that too. Well,
He wasn't. That's a civil case. He wasn't charged.
And that was civil.
Yeah.
Okay, but he still did it.
Well,
and we know he did it because he said he did it.
Yeah. Well, he said he has the ability to do that as a celebrity. He didn't admit he did it.
Man, they used to say when he was running the Miss America contest, he used to go in there with the little girls while they were getting dressed.
You making it hard for me to defend him, man. I'm trying. You making him sound like Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together.
Wow.
You know, that's what my grandmother used to tell me.
Yeah,
birds of a feather flock together.
Mine said the same thing.
And he was going to point him to a position because of what he knows. And as far as all these other, you made mention earlier about all these millionaires going to talk to him. And you know why they're going to talk to him. It isn't to kiss the ring. It's so that they can keep the prices up. They're going to join it. They want to join in that.
I don't know if they necessarily are doing it to keep the prices up. I think that there are things they're going to gain by, like for instance, Elon Musk is likely to get all. Well, Elon Musk is going to make money hand over fist. First of all, there's a ton of room to give government contracts to him for electric vehicles. His Starlink, we've essentially outsourced all of the work of NASA to Elon Musk. So he is gaining power. Like for instance, during the Ukraine war, where they were using Elon Musk's Starlink system to help some of their weapons track their way to targets. Elon Musk himself, as a citizen, was like, well, I don't like them bombing Russia in this manner, so I'm going to turn off Starlink. So he has this huge amount of power already, even as a citizen. We got most of the weaponry that's using Starlink. The Pentagon is like, maybe it's not a good idea to give one man so much power over our weapons programs. Elon Musk has a ton of power right now over the United States.
That. And he's going to have more power once he becomes president.
Yeah.
So we're really going to be at his...
He's not going to be president. He can't be president. You think the Trump administration would try to change the laws, huh?
I think it's very possible. I think it's very possible. And it isn't so much they're going to change it. It's a subtle change, just enough to get where they want to go. Wow.
Well, I can't argue with you. I actually do think, I made a video about this on YouTube, and people, some agreed, some didn't agree, but I did say that considering that we're a capitalist country and we know how lobbying works, how you can change the mindset of a politician by simply putting enough money behind that politician, up to and including Trump, because he was criticizing electric cars and lithium batteries until Elon Musk started giving him money. So I do believe that if Elon Musk threw around enough money, he could convince them to put up a change to our laws in regards to who can run for president. Maybe change it from, instead of you having to be born in America, you have to live in America for 20 years or something like that. And if he pads the right pockets, and keep in mind, he has so much money, he could literally lobby to all 500 plus members of Congress and all 100 senators simultaneously. He could literally put $1 million in all of their coffers or more. So I do believe it's possible because all of them operate off of money, and he has a ton of it.
And you have to look at Trump's MO. Even when he was in New York, he had all his names on all these buildings, but he didn't actually own those buildings. Those buildings put his name on there because he was Trump.
Yeah.
And the same thing's going to happen in politics.
What do you mean?
He may do something, but he's not going to be behind that. He's not the one that's the author of the idea. Somebody else is going to be the author of the idea, and he's going to put his name on it.
So he'll be like, so in other words, he'll be like Steve Jobs. He didn't invent the iPhone, but he put his name on it.
No, I'm not even going to put him with Steve Jobs.
That's what you're saying, though. You don't want to elevate him to Steve Jobs level, but that is what you're saying is he's going to be like Benjamin Franklin. He's going to take credit for everybody's invention. That is what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is they're going to buy him in order for him to put this through. Trump can't be bought.
Yeah.
There's a difference. He's going to be bought. He's already bought. He's paid for. He's already paid for.
Who paid for him? I don't know if he's already been bought.
$450 million paid for him.
All right, you win that. Forget about that. You win that. Yeah, Elon Musk, because when Trump came on the scene, stating, down the golden escalator, claiming to be worth $15 billion, that was one of the reasons why people supported Trump, is that he got his own money and he can't be bought. But yeah, when a guy comes along with Elon Musk money, he can be bought because it doesn't matter how much money they make. They clearly want to make more. And Elon Musk has multiples of what Trump got. So, like I said, the electric car is a perfect example. Trump was really critical of e-vehicles. And when the minute Elon Musk got on his team, all of that criticism disappeared.
And one thing we're forgetting about, which I haven't heard anybody say in a while, is that Trump is going to try to be a dictator.
I don't know about that. He only got 4 years.
A dictator doesn't have 4 years.
He only got 2 because the midterms. I mean, he's basically, you got a good solid year to govern, and then start this time next year. They're gonna be already preparing for the midterms because the midterms will be in November. If we skip up to December 2025. Now we're talking the midterms is only 11 months away. So this time next year, he got to start catering to people because the midterms are coming up. So I don't know. The dictatorship thing in 4 years is going to be hard. It's going to be real hard.
I don't know about that. We'll see. But the man is a president, so I'm not going to put nothing past him.
He's not just a president, he is a very powerful president. He's probably the most powerful president we've had in our lifetime. He has the Supreme Court, he's got control of the Senate, he got a very light amount control of Congress, but he does have control of Congress. But the Supreme Court backing him, that's significant because if he does something wild or outrageous and people want to bring him up on charges or something like that, we already know the Supreme Court is like a lily pad for him. Once he gets to the Supreme Court, he's essentially safe.
All the makings of a dictator.
What happened?
That's our guy. I got to move it on.
No, that's not my... He has Mega. Mega makes up stuff, too. I was listening to you a couple of days ago, and you had this guy named Randy on there, and he mentioned that his father was black, and he didn't know his name. And then he mentioned the fact that he asked his father a question about what's the difference between white and black. And his father cut his hand to show the blood or whatever.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I remember that. And I'm like, damn, you got to cut his hand to tell him that?
You know where else you seen that at?
I've seen that in a bunch of movies. Blood Brothers and shit like that.
How loud Josie Wales. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's right. That's where you got that from.
All right. Well,
ain't nobody's father gonna cut their hand, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, that's the way you got to make an example. All right, but I got to move it on, man. Appreciate it, love.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Anytime. All right, moving on with the program. That would be crazy as hell, though. Your father wants to show you the difference between a black and a white person, and he actually physically cuts your hand to show that we all bleed red. You couldn't just tell me that shit. You really need to cut me and make me feel pain? No, come on. But I did have a caller the other day say that. That's what he's pointing out. The Supreme Court didn't drop them last charges. Real lady, the Supreme Court gave Trump immunity. That greatly slowed down the prosecution that was against him. That Jack Smith had to rearrange his whole case. Because now you got to take out things you would have charged him with because they don't somehow say the guy's immune from being charged when he's president. I mean, you got people contemplating that he was still president on January 6th. So anything he did that day was being done in commission of the presidency. That immunity, the Supreme Court granting him immunity, that was clearly something they did to help him out, to throw him an olive branch. So I do believe that if Trump does something that is wild or outrageous and somebody tries to bring him up on charges or tries to impeach him, getting to the Supreme Court for Trump is a safe haven. And that's right now with it being a 6-3 majority in his favor. Wait till Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito step down. The people he replaced them with are really going to be loyalists. So assuming they get by the Senate, which I think they will, I mean, you know how Trump does it, but once he gets 2 more strong loyal, it'll still be 6-3. But now you're talking a Supreme Court where Trump himself personally appointed 5 members of it. I've said this before on the program. I don't think that should be legal. And I would say the same thing if a damn liberal was doing it. I don't think one president should be able to appoint 5 members of a 9-member Supreme Court. Remember, the founding fathers designed this country to have a bunch of different checks and balances. That's why you got 3 branches of government and they all check. If you got one dude appointing all these people, you know that Supreme Court is likely biased in favor of him. I'm going to say this particularly to my MAGA audience. If Obama appointed 5 members of the Supreme Court, you know you would think that Supreme Court was in his pocket. So for folk, well, no, look, he appointed them, but no, they're unbiased. That's bullshit. You wouldn't believe that if it was the other way around. One dude got to personally interview 5 different people and make appointments. That Supreme Court is in Trump's pocket. So as president, he can probably do and get away with a little bit more than any other president because he has such a wide amount of appointees on the court itself. And that's assuming Justice Roberts and Sotomayor, who both are 69 years of age, that's assuming neither one of them step down or get sick. I mean, everybody don't live to be 80. I mean, I think Sotomayor, who's an Obama appointee, she's liberal. I think she's already had some health problems. If she has to step down, now you're talking a 7-2 majority on the Supreme Court. That will be a fairly far-right Supreme Court, probably for at least the rest of my life. I'll be old and gray and almost gone by the time that Supreme Court has any chance of being balanced. So we're right. We are. We can talk about transgender and progressives and woke. We are a right country. We are a center-right country. There's some people in the country that want wokeness and all, but we are a center-right country. That's the way we are. Looking in the comments real quick before I continue on. I don't know what I just hit there. So now you're assuming that every Supreme Judge Trump put in is not going to do their job. Yes, Anita's mom, I am. Yes, and you would too. If Obama appointed, I just said this, if Obama appointed 5 Supreme Court justices, you're going to tell me MAGA would assume that those are all unbiased justices, that they may possibly rule against Obama. You would be saying the same shit. One dude appointing 5 Supreme, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that they're not going to do their job. In my humble opinion, giving him immunity is a perfect example of that. That's a perfect example of that. Delaying cases, they're not going to be unbiased. If I appointed 5 people, I expect them people to show me some love. Damn it, I'm the reason you got your job. I got 5 of these people in here out of 9. 5 of these people have their job simply because of me. Hell yeah, I expect some favors. And I'm certain that Trump, who is a master at negotiation, you can say whatever you want about his intelligence, bankruptcies, et cetera, he's really good at negotiating. I'm sure he made that clear when he was appointing some of them folks. You know, I might need some favors down the road. You don't have to make any promises right now, but damn it, I'm putting you in this position. As long as it ain't outrageous, if I need a little help down the line, I expect you to be there for me. I mean, this is behind closed doors. I'm sure that is not an unbiased Supreme Court. Anybody that would say that Supreme Court doesn't favor Trump is just simply being naive or deliberately ignorant to defend Trump. Looking in the comments real quick, Super Chat Ed G says last caller should want Democrats to admit they feel blacks are inferior and don't know what's best for themselves, and they need the superior white Democrats to think for them. I've heard some Democrats talk like that. What was the Democrat that said blacks don't know how to use computers or whatever? But I'm not going to agree with you totally on that, Ed, because the Democrats appoint more black people to high positions of power. So it doesn't resonate with your comment that the Democrats feel black people are inferior and don't know what's best for them. Two of their last biggest appointments were a black man in the form of Obama and a black woman in the form of Kamala Harris. The last two people, well, I guess Hillary Clinton is in the middle of that, but two of the last three Democratic nominees for the top position in the country appointed by Democrats were black people. So that doesn't make sense. They're not suggesting that blacks are inferior. They're trying to give them the keys to the house, the keys to the kingdom. So I disagree with that totally. I mean, just think about how many of the top 50 largest cities in this country, of the top 50 largest cities, I think 9 of them are Republican. 9 or 10, I think. I think Dallas, the mayor of Dallas, switched from Democrat to Republican or something like that. But I think only less than a dozen of the top 50 largest cities, let's just say for shits and giggles, less than a dozen, I'm sure of this, out of the top 50 largest cities in America, only less than a dozen of them are ran by Republican administrations. And you got to go pretty far down the list before you come to a Republican mayor. I think Oklahoma City is number 15. And I think there's a Republican mayor in Oklahoma City. All of the other major cities, Chicago, Dallas, or not Dallas, Chicago, Houston, LA, Detroit, Philly, all of them cities are ran by Democrats. Now, when you suggest that the Democrats feel that black people are inferior, you do realize most of those mayors are black people of those big ass cities. The mayor of Chicago is black. The mayor of New York is black. The mayor of LA. So the idea that Democrats feel that blacks are inferior, that makes no sense at all, because they appoint far more black people to positions of leadership than the Republicans do. Far more. So yeah, I don't think that makes sense. And I'm not even just talking about mayors. I'm talking about in most of those big cities, the police chief might be a black man. The guy who's running the park district or the transit authority is probably somebody black. I mean, the guy who's up in the upper levels of the post office is probably black. I mean, the Democrats are appointing black people every fucking where. So yeah, that don't make no sense that they think they're inferior. Ed says, you got symbols that popped up here. Something, flight of a flock. I guess you're saying birds of a feather flock together like the sponsor of the crime bill, pardoning the cash for kids guy. And you say Biden is trying to make amends. He's still the same. I don't think Biden knows the cash for kids guy. I don't believe Biden knows he pardoned that guy. And I'm going to use the excuse from MAGA. You can't say the guy has dementia. He doesn't know where he's at and he can't string together a sentence. But then when he does something sinister, you paint him out to be this, intelligent crime boss. Either he's out of his fucking mind or he's not. I don't personally believe Biden knew that he had pardoned that cash for kids judge. I think somebody close to Obama somebody close to Biden that he trusts recommended he pardon that guy, and he just did it. I don't believe Biden intended to pardon that guy. So I'll leave it at that. But like I said, you can't paint Biden as some kind of bumbling buffoon that is completely out of his fucking mind, but then also say he's the head of the crime family, and he's either one or the other. He can't be both. You're making it sound like he's totally sane and totally calculated and diabolic when he's committing crimes, but then on any other tab, he's slobbering and can barely know where he's at. He can't be both. You got to make up your mind on that. Real quick, looking in the comments. Eric's Crystal says, "Come on, Tim. Come on out. What am I doing wrong?" Archifine, good evening. Welcome to the program. Sure, he can be both. He was a criminal long before he lost his brains. Well, if you're committing him of modern day crimes, though. If he lost his brains, then he was a criminal in the day. He can't be still committing crimes. You're saying he's still doing it. User, I forgot. I thought I had our user. Good evening. User 5 something there. Can you hear me? All right. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. What brought you on? What'd you hear? What did I get wrong?
No, I don't find that you get nothing wrong. It's all everybody's point of view. I think the man has got in his administration, he's going to have a lot of ulterior stuff that we will find out.
Did you vote for Trump or Kamala?
I voted for Kamala.
Okay. What did you not like about Trump? I mean, folks suggest that the economy was better under him. The border was more secure. We didn't have wars. Why didn't you vote for Trump?
I don't vote in criminals. Never did.
He said, "I don't vote in criminals." So you see Trump as a criminal, and that was enough to that was a deal breaker for you.
I mean, if you get convicted of a crime, you're a criminal. Point blank.
That is true. So you don't buy into the notion that it was a witch hunt and they just wanted to prevent him from running. It was election interference.
Well, when the public start trying to be the judge, jury, and the prosecutor, it's gonna be like it is now. But we founding fathers left this thing to a point.
Let me ask you this though: how did you fare under Trump's first term compared to Biden? Did you notice any difference economically, or maybe crime wise, or maybe just the way the country's being ran? I mean, did you see any benefits to Trump's first term over Biden?
I didn't see no benefit. I didn't see no benefit. I just raised $1.50 to every one of my customers. I cut lawns. I cut people's grass.
Okay.
And according to inflation, I just raised my price up $1.50.
But if you cut grass for a living, you obviously need fuel for the lawnmowers and things like that. You didn't see the price of fuel go up?
I don't keep up with them.
Okay, hold on. You're really low. Are you far away from the micro? I can barely hear you.
Okay, maybe I was too close.
No, it sounds like you're too far. I can barely. You're real low.
Okay. What I'm saying is, I didn't I didn't really look at the number on the gas. But mainly, you come to find out.
Hold on. You said you cut grass. You do lawn care for a living, right?
Yes, sir.
And you don't look at the cost of gas?
Well, I do if it gets way way out of hand. But I mean, from his term to Biden's term, the change wasn't that dramatic. But
what about the cost of equipment? You got to replace a lawnmower. You got to replace parts of your equipment. Did you notice any difference there?
Not really. I didn't. I don't know. I really didn't. But all I know is that I come to find out that whether the prices are up or down, it really wasn't got nothing to do with what he did and what he didn't do. It's the free market, and free market controls that up and down. They don't get they had a polar bear president. It don't matter. You know what I mean?
So you don't believe the president has anything to do with the economy at all?
Well, he does. Yeah. Yeah. But of course he can make a law or push for a law and stuff. But I've always learned. I'm 66 years old. I always learned we live by what the law says.
Okay.
Okay. People misunderstand stuff. It's what the courts say. Okay, that's what really rules our lives. The court, whether they district court, local court, Supreme Court, but at the end of the day, end of the line, really, it's the court. It's what.
So for you, it sounds like the primary reason that turns you off to Trump is you see him as a criminal leader, a criminal. You should see him as a criminal person.
Criminal, he's a. That's what the law says, not what I say.
Yeah.
I don't have to question the law because I believe in our justice system. I believe in jury. I believe in judges. And so if they said he's a criminal, he's a criminal.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If he had not been convicted of any crimes, would you been more likely to vote for him?
No, I wouldn't have voted for him. Either way, because of his character, the kind of language he campaigns with. He talks about people I'm talking about. You can be as low IQ as you want. You can tell the man is not he's not right. You know what I mean?
You said he's not right.
What? A devil-like character when you see one.
What is? Wait a minute. What is making you say he is a devil-like character? You said he is not right, which is pretty funny. What's making you say that about him? What has he done to make you say he is not right?
All right. For the first time, he said he grabbed women by the what you call it.
He did say that.
He said, he'll call a woman a fat pig.
He said that about Rosie O'Donnell, yeah.
He does, all his life, and then you come to find out these things I didn't know until he got into public office. How he put the C on the application for folks back in the 70s.
He wasn't renting. Yeah, he settled out of court because they were not renting his units to people of color. They were putting C on the application. Yeah, that's true. Everything you said has actually happened, but there's a lot of people that forgive him or don't see him as being at fault for that stuff. Why do you think, even among people of color, there's so many people that still voted for him, despite what you're saying?
I'm going to tell you something. I'll explain that real quick. Let me go with the people of color. In 1962, Martin Luther King once said, wrote on a paper, that there will always be Negroes that accept injustice and racism. Because if you see it right now, that means Martin Luther King was like Nostradamus. He predicted this kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, Martin Luther King was he was the black Nostradamus. Because in 1962, if they do their homework and research, go back and see what he said on his papers, that there will be Negroes that accept injustice and racism. But essentially what he was saying is no will to fight, no will to stand up. You see?
So are you saying in 2024 that Trump is racist?
His point is, just 2 weeks before the campaign was over, 2 weeks before the campaign, he simply got up in there and told his white audience, do you want a white president or do you want a black one? What more racist can you get than that?
Yeah, he did say that. I don't know if he was saying that in a racial way. He did say that though. I hate to sound like MAGA and say I need to hear the context, but I need to go back and see because he did say that about a white president versus a black one. But was he being racist when he said it? I need to hear the context of that. He did say that though.
I call a lion a cat, but it's still a lion.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, so what I'm saying is, that's why you have black MAGA, because Martin Luther King predicted this, okay? And it all boils down to people that just don't want to, just give up, throw their hands up and just give up,
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll tell you something. I heard a young man say one time many years ago. He say, if it's white, it's all right. So with the MAGA folks, the white MAGA folks, y'all can find all the criminality in this man. This man can do no wrong because if it's white, it's all right. Talking here tonight, one thing applies to this side, the other thing don't apply to this side, because we have to accept and not be in denial that we know that that's the way it's always been. It's the way it's going to always be. If it's white, it's all right.
But I was told that stuff ended years ago, and America's moved past that mindset.
That is the biggest lie there is. First of all, their hearts ain't even changed. Okay? They running around here still in 2024 using the N-word. First of all, their hearts ain't changed.
But how do you respond to folks who say that it's wrong to say a white person can't use the N-word when so many black people are using it even in their music?
It is the difference in it. Now, I'm not gonna be the Western dictionary about it, but we know good and well when a black man says to another black man, it's just it has a different connotation to it when the white man calls it to us.
But how is that?
It originated the term to try to fit us who were supposed to be 3/5 of a man.
Yeah,
and got a dark complexion to our melanin.
But how is that? Hold on. How is that not racist? You're going to tell me that a black man can say a word that's in the dictionary, but a white man cannot. That sounds like discrimination against a white man.
Explain that to me some more.
I mean, it's as simple as that. You're telling me one group of people are allowed to use a word, but another group are not. That almost sounds like you're being discriminatory towards white people. It's a word. Why is it that one group of people can use the word you can't play games with words. I mean, you got songs that feature the word. So when a white person is singing a song, they don't have the right to actually sing the actual lyrics because they've been.
You're almost trying to say an apple's the same thing as an orange. Okay. Let me see if I can break break it down this way.
Break it down to me.
Apple is not an orange.
Okay. But a word is a word.
Okay. It's the word, right?
Okay.
It's the word. But that word, when it comes out the mouth from a white man towards a black man, it is racist towards the color, complexion of that man's skin.
Not always.
Okay.
You think? Hold on. You think if a rapper like Eminem made a mistake and used the N-word, you think he's being racist? There are plenty of white people that hang around blacks that affiliate with blacks, and black people in our culture is all they know. So every white person that uses the N-word, that don't mean they're being racist. Would it mean? I mean, you don't think that applies to every one of them, do you?
Okay, yeah, but what it is, you got something that can be argued from here to the moon. It can be argued from here to the moon. Who says it and how they use it? Okay. You can go on and you can just sit there and what they say, devil advocate all you want, but it's a difference when these black young folks call each other the N-word. It's more of a
terms of endearment. It's a term of endearment.
Yes, sir. For a better lack of word from me, but we know good and well the origination of the word from the white man. The last thing we want to hear in 2024 is them still using it. Okay, because then we're seeing that the hearts ain't changed. Now let me tell you something. Somebody sent a text. You was reading one of the texts of somebody there for a minute ago. He was saying, "Well, we voted for Obama, what's called 2 times, right?"
Right.
Okay, but let me tell you something. Here come a man named Mr. Trump, and he put the race card in his campaign or his campaign.
What makes you say that? What did Trump do to make you say something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he was it's part of the division. He was say that he would attack what the football player who built that who kneeled down on his knee because he was protesting. But when the white hippies were protesting Vietnam, it wasn't no talk about it, But when the black man,
you talking about Colin Kaepernick? You talking about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the anthem?
Trump highlighted that. All right, in a racist, with a racist tone to inflame his people, and that's where that was part of his division, and to give the green light to these folks to be when they used to. I guess they were trying to be. I don't know. I didn't really see it that much, but they was. A lot of people believe they was keeping it to themselves. They wasn't really expressing it like a few decades.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do have to move it on, but what you're basically saying is that Trump made it so that folks feel more comfortable being racist out in the open.
Yes. Because you can see these children now. They be calling the TikTok and use these white children. Go around trying to destroying people's lives using the N-word and stuff, and they just as happy. They as happy as usual. You would, before Trump's era, before Trump even came on the scene, he wasn't. It wasn't.
I hear what you're saying, but Trump has stated he has done more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln. That's what Trump says. He has done a hell of a lot for blacks, certainly more than Biden. Even more than Obama. I'll give you the last word. How do you respond to that?
That can be proven that my my daddy used to say, well, these young people done proved that ain't true all the way like he put it. But my daddy used to say, when no white folks friendly to you, that doesn't mean that's your friend. You see, you know, because sometimes when white folks do friendly things towards us, it's really arterial.
You sure you just don't have a low opinion of white people? Do you have any white friends or associates at all?
Yes, a lot of my customers are white folks.
That ain't what I'm saying. Friends, not customers.
Yeah, I got friends. Went to school with them and stuff. After second, we started mixing in schools. Yes, and I got good friends, and they give you the shirt off their back. But what I'm saying is, if you ask me percentage-wise, there's just still too many. I don't know the percentage. I ain't a sociologist or what you call the last people to do that type of calculation. But there is still too many white folks don't like black-skinned people. It's just too many. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's still just too many.
I'm curious. So, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in South Florida. You can't get more southern than this. I'm from Homestead, Florida.
That probably has a lot to do with your opinion on white people too. I gotta move it on. Have you always lived in South Florida?
Yeah, no, but you just not labeled me the wrong way. I'm not picking on nobody.
No. Hold on, hang on. I'm not saying it to pick on you. I'm saying that your state has a history of racism. If you lived in Rhode Island, you might not have that same opinion. You come from a state that has a former slave state. That's why I'm saying that your state has a history of racism.
Yeah, but regardless, if you think we are the original, that it originated here, it's all through this country. There's people all through this country that still don't want to accept black folks as equal to them. I don't know why.
But it's far more prevalent in the South than it is in the North.
Well, yeah, because also, we at a time that we have to realize it's educational levels of the folks down here. The education level, the low information they have, poor education and stuff, and so that's they gravitate to what all they know. It's what their upbringing.
I don't disagree. Old habits die hard, but user, I appreciate you coming on. I do got to move it on. My door is always open to you, though, man. Interesting conversation. Come on back anytime.
Yes, sir. And like I always say, if people allow a lie to attach to their notion, they need to detach that from their notion, them lies this man tell, and only allow knowledge. They only allow knowledge, to attach to your notion.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you for coming through. He's our president for the next 4. Catch you later. All right, moving on with the program. Interesting conversation. Now, I see somebody counteracting what I said about the North. Brown Tone 2, interesting name, says that is not always true going northern bound. Yeah, you're 100% correct. Nothing is absolute. But the fact is, the North has always been more friendly to people of color than the South. If you judge it as a whole, yeah, there's pockets. I mean, hell, I'm from Chicago. Chicago has a history of racism, but it's not the same as rural Alabama. I mean, yeah, I agree with you that you're not going to, historically, you're not going to escape it by going north, but it's different. I don't know how many lynchings happen in the northern hemisphere, the northern part of this country. I don't know of a bunch of lynchings and all that. It's different. I'm not saying it's non-existent. Certainly in the dawn of this country, the whole country was founded on it, but it's different in the north compared to what it was like in the south. That's what I'm saying. Before I go to the box, Brown two racist is racist. Don't justify it, or I don't look. It's one thing to be dealing with racism where you can't get a job or you can't find anybody who'll serve you food. It's another thing to be dealing with racism where people are trying to kill you. I don't say racism is racism. Some of it is straight up dangerous. I mean, so there's maybe you go to a police force where nobody will hire you. Maybe you've become a cop and you can't get promoted because nobody will promote a guy of color. That ain't the same as going to a sundown town where people are trying to take your damn life from it. There's levels to the game. There's levels to evil. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's all the same. There are levels to it. Ed G says unaliver in Germany, the guy who took the guy who ran over everybody with a car. Yeah, he was a doctor and mentally crazy. Yeah, he was was he Syrian? He had been in Germany since 2006. So even Trump's, massive deportation wouldn't have got him. I mean, he had been over there since 2006. So if you've been in a nation since 2006, you can apply for citizenship. I mean, you're talking almost 20 years. He was in Germany almost 20 years. But they said he was Islamophobic. He didn't like Islam. So maybe he had been in Germany so long it was wearing off on him. They said he was an Islamophobe. Syrian Israeli plan again for another war. Well, the Syrians ain't planning for war with the Israelis. It is the Israelis planning for war with the Syrians. The Syrians just got rid of an evil dictator, and they do not have an organized government right now. The Syrians are trying to prevent the wrong faction from taking over in Syria. So they're bombing all of the leftover weapons and bases. The Israelis are taking advantage of the lack of governance in Syria. And the United States is doing it as well. The United States is in on that. I think the United States admitted they have boots on the ground over there, like 2,000 people, 2,000 boots are on the ground in Syria. We have no business in that country, no business at all. But anytime there is a uprising, you could almost expect the West is going to be involved in it some way, somehow. When I say the West, I mean the United States. We are involved in that. See, you said Syrian-Israeli plan again for another war. I read your comment again. It still seems the same way, unless you didn't type it right. Syrian-Israeli plan again for another war. Think about, I don't understand, maybe it's the way you wrote it. No, the caller projects pain and fear based on his experience. He needs to be shown that it's not true. Well, if he experienced it, there's no way to show him it's not true. If he's experienced the amount, he's talking about my last caller. Now that man is 66 years old, he said, and he's been living in southern Florida his whole life. Can you imagine how much someone that is 66 and has spent their whole life in Florida has seen during that time? How long? The Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964? I mean, he would have been born right after that, or maybe even before it. I mean, 66, that would have been, is that the late 50s? My math is off right now. But he would have been born in that era. And simply passing the Civil Rights Act did not immediately change hearts and minds. It took a long time for people to finally acknowledge, okay, we got to leave these folks alone. He would have been a kid during all of that. He was born in that shit. So at 66 years of age, he's seen a lot. I can't sit there and tell him, man, he didn't see what he saw. I grew up in Chicago in the 80s. Big difference than growing up in Florida in the 60s or something like that. Big difference. Even growing up in Chicago in the 60s would have been much worse. So yeah, he's seen probably a lot. This is why I often push back on folks who suggests people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are racist. I always say maybe they are a little bit racist. How would you be if you went through what Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton has went through? If a military person, Marine, somebody who served in the army, did a tour in Fallujah or Kabul or something like that, and they came home and they had PTSD because people were shooting at them in Fallujah or trying to kill them in Kabul, we would all understand that they had PTSD, and we would understand what they went through and why they may not like people from Iraq or why they may not like people from Afghanistan. My granddad served in World War II. He died in 1999 still hating Japanese because they were trying to kill him. But we look at somebody like Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, and we don't give them any sympathy, even though both of those men, both of them, have probably received over 1 million death threats each. Both of them, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. Probably, they've seen literally the worst of white people that you can imagine. They've been at the scene of lynchings and church bombings. They've seen it all. They essentially, if you want to say they're racist, they have PTSD. I don't think anyone that has seen all of the shit they've seen would be operating in harmony. I mean, Jesse Jackson was standing next to Martin Luther King when he got shot in the face. What do you expect him to do? I mean, how would you be acting if so? So I do believe that there may be some racial elements in the likes of Jackson and Sharpton. They've seen a lot. They've really seen literally the worst of this country. I mean, the country's not as bad as it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, but they were around 30, 40, 50 years ago dealing with that shit. So I could totally understand why they may have an adverse opinion or an opinion that's different than mine. I ain't seen all of that shit. I haven't been to jail just for protesting or had somebody threaten to hang me. I haven't had any of that happen, and you haven't had any of that happen. So who am I to tell this guy he should just get over that stuff? Both of those guys, like I said, both of them individuals probably have received over 1 million death threats each. How do you think that would make you feel? Anyhow, looking in the comments, I live in Indiana, grow up with Triple K marching down Main Street. Damn, Alicia, really? I heard they were gone. I heard they wasn't around anymore. Let me go back to the box. I was trying to bring up Arsha. Good evening, Arsha. By the way, for some of you folks, happy Christmas Eve. I think that the calendar has changed. Arsha, good evening.
Hello, good morning, or good evening.
Now, what time is it over there? Now, you guys are several hours behind, right?
It's 7:50 p.m.
Okay. So you just getting to the sun is set there, right?
Yeah, it sets. We don't do daylight, or we don't do the clock thing. So sunset here is like 5:40.
Okay. Now, I think Trump is trying to get rid of daylight savings time, if I'm correct. I think he's trying to do that for the whole country, so we'll all be on one.
Yeah, because right now it's like Hawaii and Arizona.
Yeah. And he wants to do the whole country. When I used to live in Australia, they didn't have it where I lived there either. And it was weird because they would be like daylight at like 4:00 in the morning. And even in the summer, dark came early. You didn't have it getting dark at 9:00 like it does with daylight savings time. It gets daylight where I'm at in the Midwest. The sun rises about in the summertime about 5:30, a little bit before 6:00, and it stays light till about 9. In the wintertime, though, the sun doesn't rise almost till 7, and it's dark about 5. But without daylight savings time, I hear that kids will be going to school in the morning in the dark. Is that how it is over there?
No, my kids don't have to be at school until 8. The sunrise right now, because we're at we already had the solstice, right? So. It's still dark at 6:30, but by the time I get to work at like 6:45, it's pretty. The sunrise.
So in other words, your children have to be at school at a late hour. A lot of kids have to be at school earlier than that. 6:30. A lot of kids are already on bus stops. So that is correct, and it would be dark.
Yeah, but I mean, if we fell back, oh my gosh, it would be. Yeah, you can't. No. But one nice thing about not springing forward too is we don't have those nights where it's like light until 9 something at night. It'll stay, sunset just before 8 o'clock usually, like the longest. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, what brought you on today? I saw you've been listening in. Now, my last call was pretty interesting. Do you see any of that in Hawaii? Like, disparity between races and any of that stuff over there?
The state of Hawaii has no racial majority.
So it's more, that sounds like it would be more harmonic then, more harmony.
You don't know what people are here.
But that's a good thing, though.
Some people that look black could be, or like Black Americans could be from Fiji, or they could be from the Dominican Republic, or they could be from, New York, or they could be, all over the place. There's a lot of brown people here. There's a lot of people of color.
Yeah.
A lot of dark-skinned people, but they could be from so many different places on the planet.
But people aren't getting, there's not a lot of discrimination or any of that.
People make fun of each other, but in a nice way.
Okay.
Like, people like the Portuguese, because there's a lot of Portuguese here. They'll say, oh, you can tell when somebody's Portuguese because they say things twice. Like, hi, yeah, bye, or they talk a lot.
But that ain't that bad. It ain't like they're saying they're sitting around eating watermelon all the time. That actually ain't that bad.
Yeah, Micronesians are probably the ones that get a little bit of the most flack, I would say. But yeah, you have everything here, especially, Japanese, Chinese, Filipino. The Chinese brought rice to the Hawaiian island, or the Hawaii. Yeah, you got a little bit of everything.
All right, well, getting into the actual topic, have you heard that Trump is talking about acquiring Greenland and perhaps taking over the Panama Canal?
Kind of like Governor Trudeau and making Canada a state. Yeah,
making Canada the 51st state, whether they like it or not. Remember he said that about women? I'm going to help women whether they like it or not. Trump likes to do what he likes to do.
I think a lot of it is just like him puffing his chest and like belittling others.
So you think he's lying about this stuff?
Well, he said that in his first term about Greenland.
He's talking about buying it then. Now he's talking about taking it over. At first he was talking about buying it, and they laughed that off. So
how is he going to take it over? What is he going to? It's a sovereign place, isn't it?
It wouldn't be the first sovereign nation that got taken over. Ukraine is a sovereign nation, and look what they're going through.
Okay, so Donald, the dictator. One, he'd have to have Congress on that. So what is he just going to go over there? I don't put any credit into that.
Okay, so no. What about the same with the Panama Canal? No credit in that either.
Again, that would have to be an act of Congress to go over there. It's its own.
You do realize he has a slight majority in Congress. That's not outside of the realm of possibility. He does have control of Congress.
But it also doesn't mean that they're going to side with that.
Well,
I think that enough people are smart.
They were going to appoint Matt Gaetz. Have you heard about what Matt Gaetz has been up to?
Oh yeah, we kind of knew it. Have you seen Matt Gaetz? Is that shocking?
Well, yeah, it is to me, Arsha. I'll tell you why. The
reason I'm not shocked is because he tends to surround himself, speaking of president-elect, he tends to surround himself with perverts.
Perverts or not.
or people of questionable ethics. How about that?
Okay. Well, I think Washington is loaded with people of questionable ethics on both sides, but perverts or not.
But I'm saying prior to him becoming a politician, like he was, friends with Epstein, and he hung out with Diddy a lot. He hangs out with questionable people.
Did Trump didn't hang out with Diddy a lot, did he?
Yes, he did. You can see tons of pictures. Even him and Ivanka, they went to Diddy parties. I'm not saying that they went to the baby oil parties, but yeah.
I don't think there were parties where baby oil wasn't included. It just was probably in rooms.
He always spoke very highly of Sean Combs. Yeah.
I'm not aware, because you heard when Trump was being called racist and all of this stuff, he started bringing up all the people he hung around, Mike Tyson, and he never mentioned Diddy, even when Diddy was still in good standing. That never came up.
Actually, he did on The Apprentice, because one of Diddy's former females was on as a contestant.
I didn't hear a lot about Diddy. Like I said, I've been holding these shows. Hold on, I've been having these shows for 3 years. And people have been defending Trump. Hold on. People have been defending Trump and saying he's not racist and naming all kinds of black people that Trump hung around. Diddy's name has rarely ever came up.
There's actually a video of Donald Trump and Sean Combs in a interview where they're interviewing each other and sitting down and talking story.
Huh?
It's all,
That don't mean they hung out, though. That just means you got one video of them together.
Well, him and Melania were at a lot of parties there. There's a lot of photos of him. And they're both from New York. Listen, I think Donald Trump likes to hang out with anybody that has money that makes him feel cool. I don't think it has anything to do with not being racist or not being that.
I agree with that.
I think it's about knowing the people that are cool and wanting to keep up with being popular.
Yeah, I agree. He is an opportunist. He's going to seize on any opportunity that'll help his image or help his pocketbook. Hang on one second there, Arsha says, Tim, when are you going to spend your time helping us find and bring together the liberals and Democrats to pick someone to represent us? It's a good question. When am I going to spend my time helping us find and bring together the liberals and Democrats? Well, they got to first present somebody. Why the hell did Arsha fight? Arsha, why did you get removed? You need to appeal that, Arsha. You didn't say my last guest got removed. I just received the statement there. Arsha, you certainly should be able to appeal. I don't know. You didn't say anything unless somebody was reporting it. Really? Wow. All of the stuff we talked about, racial stuff, me and my other caller talked about the 66-year-old gentleman. They removed you? What the hell? In regards to your comment, guess what? Says, when are you going to spend your time helping us find and bring together the liberals and Democrats to pick someone to represent us? Well, the wound is too new. For certain avenues, I defended Kamala because she wasn't talking about bringing in police with immunity. But she just lost like a month and a half ago. You got to give it time, but we certainly will end up eventually talking about suitable liberals. The midterms, like I said, a year from now, we're going to be talking about the midterms this time next year. So, but it's going to take time. Somebody has to present themselves. Right now, who's the leaders in the Democratic Party? Gavin Newsom of California, Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Normally people were saying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but she just lost to another liberal. I think AOC is probably too far to the left for this current environment, so AOC is probably not a good person to point to. She needs to move closer to the center. America's not as far left as AOC. It's probably not even as far left as Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom, to be honest with you. Fetterman of Pennsylvania. That's if you're talking about a liberal that might get some traditional Republican, you ain't gonna get MAGA no matter what. MAGA's gonna go with whoever Trump appoints to succeed him. So you're not gonna score MAGA no matter what, unless Trump does something really funky while he's in office. But the chances of Trump pissing off MAGA and losing MAGA is slim to none. So you're going for the Democrats, independents, and maybe a few traditional Republicans. That's it. Now, MAGA represents about 30% of the voting bloc. So that's already going to be an uphill battle because you got to win with the remaining 70% of the voters that are left. So I think people like AOC, Whitmer, and Newsom are too far to the left. So you're going to have more centrists present themselves. The Democratic Party don't have a lot of centrists right now. They don't have a lot of them. Fetterman is probably the perfect example right now of a Democrat centrist. And that's it. I can't think of anybody else. So give it time. I get your question, but it's way too early to be tackling that. Way too early. Now, I don't know about that comment. There are some people who are upset with their choice since Trump is going back on the majority of his promises. Well, you got to give Trump a chance as well. You're upset with Trump. You voted for Trump and you're upset with him before he's even in office. He's not going back on his promises. He is making it clear that his promise may not come true. He's making it clear that the confidence that he gave you in the campaign while he was trying to get voted in, that confidence is not as strong now that he's president and has to deliver it. That's not going back on his promise, but that is getting you prepared for the fact that it might not happen. Whereas when he was running for office, he was talking about $2 gas and ending wars in 24 hours and, bringing down the price of groceries and shit. Well, now that you've actually won based on that shit and you got to deliver, now he's trying to soften you up and make it sound like, well, at the end of the day, some of this stuff might not actually happen. Well, you weren't saying that when you were campaigning, so we'll see. But he ain't going back on him yet. He's got to get in there to go back on him. Real quick in the comments. Thank you, folks that are tapping the screen. Did we get 60,000? Well, 70,000. Maybe some of you guys tapped the screen. By the way, this is how we run the program. We are all about free speech here. We are definitely MAGA friendly. Been that way since day one. Always will be. But liberals are welcome on the program as well. I always give the spiel that if you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, you are in the right place. Feel free to follow the program on TikTok, subscription on YouTube if you will. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everyone gets to speak. You can be critical of anyone in the comment section up to and including the host. There are no snowflakes on this forum. So if you enjoy that, follow the program, subscribe on YouTube. That's how it goes. Did I offend someone, says Damian H? No one gets offended here. There's no crying in politics. Isn't that what Tom Hanks said? Maybe I'm getting the quote wrong, but something like that. There's no crying in politics. Looking in the car. Trump lies all the time. He opens his mouth. He does say a lot of things that are not true. I'm not going to disagree with that. I could say other politicians in general say things that are not true, but because Trump lies more than other politicians for the simple fact Trump says more words than other politicians. If you had to actually count every single word that has come out of Trump's mouth since he came down the escalator in 2015, and you had to count every single word that's come out of Biden's mouth since that same time period, I'd say Trump has probably said 20 times more than Biden has. Because he's holding rallies, he gives more press conferences, whereas Biden didn't give enough press conferences. I mean, he talks to the people considerably more than Biden. But that also means if he is lying, he is highly likely to repeat that lie over and over again. Just like if Biden, how many times did Biden say he wasn't going to pardon his son? Well, if every time, if you continue saying something that was a lie the first time you said it, you're going to keep sticking with that. Well, if you hold in a bunch of rallies, then it's going to get repeated over and over again. And Trump held a hell of a lot more rallies and gatherings than Biden ever could have dreamed of. So, yeah, Trump is, I think I once saw an estimate that he lied like 40,000 times or something like that. I believe it because he says he speaks more than Biden does. And when you're holding rallies and you're going from city to city saying the same thing at each city, then every time you say it at each city, it's a lie over and over again. So, if you go to one city and talk about the million voting machines switch votes from Trump to Biden, which has been proven in court to be false, Well, every city you go to and say that tallies up as another lie. And he keeps repeating. I mean, he's still talking about the 2020 election. I mean, he's still bringing that stuff up. So he keeps repeating it up. Biden ain't doing that. So, yeah, Trump's going to have more lies than Biden. They will be a case study. Yeah, Trump is going to be probably one of the most studied presidents in history because he's changed the game. I said after his first term, his legacy was horrible. After his second term, his legacy might be great. I mean, because now he has a legacy of winning the Supreme Court. He has a legacy of one of the greatest comebacks in history. He's also the only guy since Quincy Adams to be elected twice with a split in the middle. He's making history on all kinds of levels. Now, his first presidency, he made a lot of history, but it was all negative. Impeached twice, 90 some odd convictions, reduced down to 8, or not convictions, indictments. Reduced down. I mean, he had a lot of negative history, but now he's starting to make positive history. Some of the stuff he's doing now is positive. Winning elections by a decent margin, winning the popular vote, something the Republicans haven't done in a while. I mean, he's starting to do some things that are positive. So he will be one of the most studied presidents. I mean, the whole winning the Hispanic male vote. There is a couple counties, like there's a border county down in southern Texas that had not voted Republican since it became a county. Trump is the first president to flip that county. I don't know what county it is or what city's included in it, but that county had never been red. There's another county over in South Carolina they've talked about that Trump flipped, or North Carolina rather, that Trump flipped. And it had not voted red since Reconstruction. I mean, he's broke a lot of records. So now his legacy is getting to be positive. It was very negative after his first term, January 6th and all of that shit in there. But now he's starting to do things and break records that are looking positive. So we'll see what he does with that, though, once he becomes president. Anyhow, my county, I think you mean my county flipped to blue for the first time, I think. Ash of North Carolina, really? Under Kamala Harris, really? I'd be curious to know what county that is. Continuing on, Trump bait. What does that mean, Charles Vaughn? He's going to kill me for predicting his election when he takes office. I hope not. Anyhow, folks, you guys, I do appreciate getting close to 60,000 on the likes. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe, follow the program. It is that time. I do need to get a little bit of shut-eye. Got to get up for Christmas Eve and do a few things. It is your boy, Tim, the Handsome Liberal. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch you folks tomorrow, most likely. We may do a show if enough of you guys tune in. We'll talk about it. Anyhow, have a see you then. And for my YouTube vertical, Tim is on the same side as Swifties and Furries. What the hell is that, Mr. D? Swifties is Trump's, not Trump, Taylor Swift. What is a furry, though? What is a furry? And I don't know a lot about Taylor Swift. I'm too fucking old for her music. There is just reality, just facts. How we interpret them is irrelevant. It ain't irrelevant because people vote on how they interpret facts. That ain't irrelevant. Anyway, see you on the flip side. Bubblehead, says Norm Durkin. Appreciate it. I love it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you, folks. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.